Don't come over here. Don't touch me. It's too late again. Name Shichi. My name is Shichi. I live at Happiness Lane, Building 4, 302. But that was before. Now I spend most of my time not on Earth. Captain, is this guy crazy? This is the Bureau of Law Enforcement. It's not a place for you to write science fiction novels. Besides, Shichi, where have you been for the past 3 days? I've said it 3 times, officer. I time traveled. 12 noon 3 days ago. I was forcibly pulled into an apocalyptic world, a city of ruins, full of zombies. I hid like a rat for 3 days, drinking water from the toilet tank, eating expired 1975 pet canned food. If I hadn't been lucky, I would have become bones long ago. Enough. The surveillance shows that you walked into a dead end 3 days ago and then disappeared. We searched for 3 days, and as a result, you showed up at the entrance of the Bureau of Law Enforcement this morning and told us you time traveled. I know they don't believe me. No one will believe me. I glanced at the wall clock. 11:45. Officer, I have a feeling that at 12 noon today, I will be teleported again. I have no one at home. I don't want to die. So I came here. Even if I really die here, at least someone knows how I died. Xiao Lu, have you found out? He's an orphan. His parents died in a car accident. No relatives. Works part-time at a convenience store. Simple life, no bad habits. Mysteriously disappeared 3 days ago. Captain, is he having a schizophrenic episode? Should we send him for examination? Negative, very clean. No drug use either. Captain Shi, Chu Tianhe, came to Shichi again and sighed. His gaze towards me had a bit more pity. Shichi, in view of your unstable mental state, we have contacted experts from the mental health center. They will take you for assessment and treatment. There are people there to take care of you. No, I'll just stay here. Nowhere else. 15 minutes left. Just 15 minutes. I beg you, don't move me. If I'm teleported while moving, I might get stuck in a spatial rift and die. Xiao Lu, watch him. Don't let him hurt himself. Send him away when the mental hospital's car arrives. Understood, Captain. Time is thundering loudly. 11:55 p.m. The sound of brakes came from outside, followed by the ambulance from Tianmin Mental Health Center. Several orderlies in white coats stopped at the door, holding restraints as they came in. Where's the patient? He was emotionally agitated in Shinshuan. He may have violent tendencies. Right now, I'm curled up in a chair, trembling all over, perhaps because of fear. My teeth are chattering, my eyeballs are bloodshot. 11:58 p.m. 2 minutes left. I've seen many patients like this. Direct control is all that's needed. As soon as he finished speaking, 2 orderlies pounced on me, their hands grabbing me like iron clamps. Don't come over, don't touch me. It's too late again. Time finally came to exactly 12 o'clock. With a strong sense of vertigo, I was transported again to bathed. Then spatial teleportation. The intense vertigo completely overwhelmed me. My internal organs felt as if they were being torn apart by a giant hand. When I opened my eyes again, that familiar stench hit me in the face. The buildings on both sides towered into the clouds. The architectural style is magnificent and bizarre, completely surpassing Earth's technological understanding. I must find a place to live as soon as possible. Obviously to get through these 3 days. While I was thinking, suddenly a muffled sound like a cannon exploded behind the car. Immediately afterwards, a surge of air blew over. The hairs on my body stood on end. I instinctively looked forward. Black Hawk fire slammed diagonally into the spot where I was standing. 3 deep holes were torn into the cement ground by sharp claws. It was a zombie. At this moment, I didn't have time to think, so I turned around and ran. I ran frantically, my lungs aching from the intense exercise. Damn it, I was ambushed as soon as I landed, and at this moment on the road ahead, an abandoned bus blocked the way. Fortunately, the door was open. I plunged into the bus. I climbed out of the other side of the window, not looking back, and continued to run for my life, until I saw a shopping mall ahead. I saw ventilation pipes on the side of the mall. Perhaps this is my only chance. The zombie was chasing relentlessly. Seeing that the zombie was about to catch up at the critical moment, I lunged into the ventilation pipe in the corner. The zombie was blocked outside because it was too big. At this point, I had escaped. At this moment, I collapsed in the dark pipe, panting heavily, my heart pounding against my chest. After a long time, the roars outside gradually faded away. Just have to get through these 3 days. Then I can go back. I must survive. The next 3 days. The residents in the south of the city only felt oppressed. There were unfamiliar cars and soldiers on the streets, while in the command center, the atmosphere was filled with seriousness and tension. All instruments were aimed at the point where I disappeared, but no phenomenon could be observed. It was as if I had really evaporated from the universe. 10 minutes later, the air began to distort. The readings of the observation instruments began to jump abnormally. It was molecular reorganization, atoms being forcibly recombined. Physics no longer existed. The light spots began to converge. 12 o'clock sharp. The light faded. I stood in place. Countless eyes stared at me outside the glass wall. I'm back. Hey, Team 16. Fire prevention team, seal it off together. Body temperature normal. Heart rate 140. All indicators are safe. No virus detected. Shichi, I am Chen Ho, welcome home. I looked up at him and then at the fully armed people around me. It seems I don't need to go to the mental hospital this time. 6 hours later, I sat in the conference room, facing a table of food like a state banquet. Eat later. The country will provide whatever you want to eat in the future. Thank you, leaders. It's too miserable over there. Even rats can't be eaten. Tell me about that world. The technology there is very high. There are wrecks of hovercraft, broken giant mechs, but civilization is destroyed. I didn't see any living people. Only zombies and bears as big as trucks. Their claws can shatter concrete slabs. Comrade Shichi, you must understand the value of your abilities. This is not only about you, but also about the future of the country. I know, I'm just an ordinary person. But if I can help the country and live a better life, I'm willing to cooperate. Very good. We have already formulated a plan. Your transport is mandatory. In other words, you will be teleported again, but don't be afraid. Follow me. Then Chen Ho took me to the operations room. Inside were some of the current world's most cutting-edge weapons. This is the country's backing for you. Special nano-combat suit. Extremely strong defense. Ordinary zombies should have a hard time breaking through. Type 95 assault rifle. Extremely powerful, unlimited bullets, paired with a special alloy sword that cuts through iron like mud. Also, there are antibiotics and military rations with restricted consumption. Listening to Chen Hao's introduction, my breathing became heavy. 3 days ago, I never dared to dream of these things. You only have one mission: survive and then bring something back. A broken phone, a circuit board, or a piece of zombie remains. Anything from that world may have significant meaning for us. Okay, I understand. In a blink of an eye, it was time for the teleportation again. I stood in the center of the teleportation platform, with a sports camera hanging on my chest. This camera is your second pair of eyes. Every frame it records is priceless. Remember, come back alive. Don't worry, Chen Jun. I want to come back alive too. This is sample 01. Your teleportation ability may have life rejection. If it can survive, it means we can send troops in the future. I understand. I will confirm it as soon as possible. After explaining everything, Chen Jun actually gave me a military salute. Besides being touched, I also stood up straight and returned a solemn salute. At 12 o'clock sharp, the space fluctuated again. I was teleported to the apocalyptic world again. Overcoming the dizziness caused by the teleportation, I wanted to check the Shulong. The little white mouse inside was gone, leaving only a mass of blurred flesh. This is life rejection. If it were a person, it seems that no matter how powerful the country is, in this world, I am still alone. A low growl came from the bedroom. My whole body tensed up. A shadow flickered in the crack of the door. It was a zombie. Can't shoot. Gunshots will attract more. I remember yesterday afternoon. At the training base, the fighting skills instructor Zhang taught me. The fear in my heart gradually dissipated. In order to survive, I can also be a warrior. I clenched the dagger. Moving towards the bedroom door, my steps were extremely light, but the zombie seemed to sense something. Suddenly, it bared its teeth and claws and pounced. I waved my dagger to meet it head-on and killed it with one blow. The zombie only struggled a few times before dying. Fortunately, the battle axe blocked it. Instructor Zhang, I didn't waste your lessons. Immediately after, I turned on the camera to record. I am Shichi, just killed an adult male zombie. Now, I'll perform a simple dissection to provide sample data. This crystalline substance was found in the zombie's brain. It might be their energy source. I carefully stowed away the spoils. As night falls, the doomsday world is even more eerie at night. I took out half a hand grenade. I installed it at the bedroom door and moved the cabinet to block the door. After doing all this, I held the rifle tightly in my hand. Only then did I sleep peacefully. Early the next morning, I prepared to bring something back for the country. But to do that, I have to go out. Looking at the zombies wandering downstairs, I took out a grenade and threw it towards a street in the distance. With the explosion, the monsters nearby were instantly alarmed. At this time, I didn't dare to delay. Taking advantage of the monsters being attracted by the explosion, I rushed out of the unit door, running wildly on the street while looking around. Finally, at the end of the street, I saw a store selling electronic devices. I rushed in without hesitation, But what I didn't expect was that there were actually a few zombies in the store. They saw me and immediately roared, surrounded me, got a fight. In desperation, I raised my hand and fired a shot. The nearest zombie fell directly to the ground. Immediately after, I drew out the long knife from my waist. The narrow space limited the zombie's numerical advantage, but gave me the opportunity to use my flexibility. A moment later, the last zombie fell. I knew the explosion couldn't attract the zombies for too long. They could turn back at any time, and the gunshot I just fired may have alerted the surrounding zombies. At this time, I couldn't rest. I immediately searched the store. Minute after minute passed. I was getting more and more anxious. Finally, I found a black metal box. After prying open the box, inside lay a coin-sized chip. It looked structurally complete. Mission accomplished. I grabbed the chip and stuffed it into my pocket, running wildly along the original route. Finally, I arrived at the safe house, just before the time tide receded. No way it would have been over if I was any later. For the next 2 days, I stayed indoors sorting out video materials and didn't step out the door once. Until noon on the third day, just as I was preparing to welcome the teleportation, an accident happened. The ground began to shake violently as if some huge monster was approaching. I didn't hesitate and ran. At this moment, the beast also noticed me, and it seemed more interested in me. Although there were only 10 minutes left before the teleport, 10 minutes was enough for me to die 100 times, and the beast was still chasing after me. Then it swooped down. The beast was so huge, and it was at this critical moment. A flash of lightning flashed and disappeared in place. At this moment, I was shocked and even more astonished. It was a girl of about 17 or 18 years old. I didn't expect that there were still humans in this world. At this time, the disappeared beast should have circled around after losing its prey and eventually left impatiently. At this time, the girl uttered a string of syllables that I couldn't understand at all. I didn't understand what she was saying at all. Seeing this, she simply gave up communicating, scanned my whole body with her wristband, and then turned around and gestured for me to follow her. But I knew that the time for the teleport was approaching. Wait a minute. Just then, my vision blurred, and the space began to distort. As the teleportation light dissipated, I was teleported back in a mess again. Quick, medical team. Chi-Chi, how are you? Are you injured? However, I ignored the pain, tore off the sports camera on my chest, and stuffed it into my luggage. New discovery, someone. There are still living people in that world. Living people? Are you sure? Sure, the camera recorded everything. Sometime later, the video I recorded these days was being played in the conference room. On the table were the black crystals and chips I brought back from the apocalypse. After discussion and analysis, experts discovered that the girl's clothing material and mechanical arm are technically at least decades ahead of Blue Star, and the chip can even subvert Blue Star's current holographic technology. To achieve holographic projection, you can simulate battlefields or apply it to the game education field. This is the key to unlocking the future. The value of this chip is immeasurable. This is all thanks to your contribution. The country will definitely compensate you. Late at night, around the black crystal in the safe, a strange phenomenon suddenly occurred. A micro-wormhole appeared out of thin air and instantly swallowed the black crystal. Then the wormhole faded rapidly, suspended in mid-air, emitting a faint blue light, stable and mysterious. A piercing alarm rang throughout the base. The intelligence team rushed to monitor immediately. What's going on? Is it an enemy attack? No, it wasn't the impulse. It appeared on its own. It devoured the black crystal. We originally thought the impulse was uncontrollable, but it seems it can devour black crystals. To increase stable time. Good, this inference means, if there are enough black crystals, then in the future transporting tanks and armor, even an entire army is possible. The next morning, Qinghao called me to the slingshot room. Chi-Chi, the situation has changed. The change in the impulse allows us to see more possibilities and brings more unknown risks. Today, your task is very heavy. You need to collect as many black crystals as possible and do your best to find that mysterious girl. Zhongji, yes. Guarantee the completion of the mission. However, I didn't rest for the next few hours. The chief conducted more rigorous and comprehensive training for me, all to allow me to better survive in the doomsday world and increase the chance of survival by even a sliver. Near the teleportation time, I stood in front of the teleportation platform. The equipment on my body was even more luxurious. Besides the Type 95 rifle, there was a folding submachine gun on my back, and a special electromagnetic pulse gun was hanging on my thigh. As for that cage for the white rat, it was still hanging on my waist. At 12 o'clock, from last night, that impulse disappeared from the laboratory and then appeared behind me, instantly engulfing me. This time, I was teleported not far from the alley I was in last time. I looked at the cage immediately. The white rat inside was not crushed into blood and mud, but was neatly cut into 2 pieces. It seems that although the teleportation channel is wider, except for my special case, it still cannot allow living organisms to pass through. I didn't delay. I walked towards the alley, back to the place where the girl disappeared. This time there was some text on the wall. The strokes of these characters are extremely strange, looking like the girl's message. Although I can't interpret it, I still didn't forget to take comprehensive pictures with the camera. At this time, the roar of zombies faintly came from outside. It seems that the primary task now is to hunt zombies and collect black crystals. Come on, let's start working. There are scattered zombies wandering on the street. I held the tang sword and lightened my steps. Sneaking behind a zombie, I suddenly burst out and instantly killed a zombie. Then I cut open the brain and found the black crystal inside. Just like that, Hunter Wu transforms into a hunter. I continue searching for lone zombies, constantly killing them and collecting black crystals. This should be enough. Next, I need to find a library or a school. These places should contain books. The weapons this man uses are primitive swords and guns. You are so out of sync with this era. Who exactly are you? Not long after, I finally found a huge building 2 blocks away. After entering the hall, I was shocked. Here are arranged countless transparent crystal particles, each particle containing a faint light. This is the library of the future. I was so shocked by the scene that I couldn't move. The particles in front of me were as smooth as a mirror, with no buttons or interfaces, guiding my silly look of holding my breath. As soon as my palm touched it, a crisp sound rang out. Starlight exploded in the crystal, and countless data streams swirled and reorganized in the darkness like 10,000 fireflies. I subconsciously reached out to grab it, but my hand went straight through the books, as if I had grabbed a handful of dust. Holographic projection. I smiled bitterly, withdrew my hand, and the disappointment in my heart was like being doused with a bucket of cold water. I can't take it away. The country wants food, the ability to analyze principles, and the ability to replicate technology. Something that can turn into a combat force of 10 against 10. Just then, something I inadvertently touched. A pair of glasses lay quietly in a groove at the bottom of the pillar, with silver frames and semi-transparent black lenses. The lines were so sharp that they seemed to have traveled back from the future. I grabbed it, but my fingertips didn't feel any weight. Whether it's too light, so light it's like holding a feather. This is a reader. I cautiously scanned my surroundings, and after confirming there was no movement, I took a deep breath. I put the glasses on the bridge of my nose. The next second, the whole world collapsed before my eyes. The dilapidated hall seemed to have been erased by an eraser, replaced by a primeval forest. Sunlight penetrated the canopy, shining warmly on my face. The earthy smell drilled straight into my lungs, and birds chirped in the distance. The wind rustled through the leaves. I was completely stunned, my mouth open but unable to make a sound. This is not just visual but tactile, olfactory, and physical. This is the ultimate form of holographic technology. Chen Hao and the others are dreaming of this good stuff. Right now, it's on the bridge of my nose. The scene is flowing like crazy. A gentle electronic sound sounded in my ear. Although I couldn't understand the language, the picture itself was the best translation. I watched skyscrapers rise from the ground like forests, and flying cars in a sea of neon lights. Weaving through schools of fish, humanity conquered cancer, and lifespans easily surpassed a century. Huge interstellar battleships are in deep space, and the land of Mars is brightly lit. Exploration ships set sail towards the depths of the galaxy in a mighty fleet. This was the height of a civilization, powerful, confident, and as arrogant as the sun. Then, the sky cracked open, and crimson instantly soaked the entire scene, yet without an explosion. Creatures began to twist and mutate. The city ground tore open in huge mouths, and hideous alien beasts poured out madly. The electric light of war, mechs were torn to pieces, and battleships fell into the sea like shooting stars. In just a few decades, a glorious and brilliant civilization was forcibly pushed from its peak into the abyss. Like a ghost, I witnessed all of this firsthand, that kind of grand and irreversible sense of tragedy. It's like an invisible hand, tightly clutching my throat. Such a pity. I took off my glasses, and before my eyes was still a cold ruin. Everything I just experienced was simply like an overly realistic dream. But these glasses are now lying heavily in my hand. This thing must be taken back. At the end of this street corner, a piercing alarm suddenly blared, instantly tearing apart the surrounding silence. Intruder detected. Red warning lights flashed wildly. A powerful arm spun, and a robot with a hideous face slid out directly. The lower half of this guy is suspended in the air, and the electric arc on the mechanical arm sizzles like a spitting snake. Eliminate the intruder. Next second, the blue electric arc, like a whip, lashed over with a whistling sound. I instinctively rolled to the side. Immediately after, There was a loud bang beside my ear, and the hard cement floor instantly exploded into powder. Cold sweat instantly soaked my back. The submachine gun in my hand is like a toy gun in front of it, but I can only pull the trigger desperately. Let the bullets pour out like crazy. I swept around frantically, but only on its outer shell. Left a few painless white spots. This thing is actually bulletproof. A sense of despair poured into my chest like ice water. The robot's frenzied electric arc began to gather energy again. Just at this critical moment, a purple figure suddenly jumped down from the second floor with a loud crash. It knelt on one knee on the floor, and cracks spread instantly like spiderwebs. I looked closely, and it turned out to be that mysterious girl who had been following me all along. The robot's movements suddenly stopped. The girl slowly raised her left hand, and a faint blue light emanated from the bracelet. Identification code, Alpha 001, full line, highest level. That cold, icy voice conveyed an unquestionable pressure. The once invincible killing machine instantly changed from red to green. Command received. Welcome back, officer. The electric arcs extinguished. The big guy obediently retreated into the hidden compartment. The hall fell silent again. I was holding a grenade. I was completely frozen in place. The iron pigeon I couldn't move no matter how hard I tried. He solved it with a single sentence. The girl turned around, her eyes behind the goggles fixed on the fully armed Special Forces soldier. Facing a cybernetic girl, this scene looked so strange and scary. I awkwardly put away the grenade. I honestly raised both hands in a gesture of goodwill. Thanks, I'm Shichi. I'm from very far away. As I spoke, I pointed to the sky, forcing a smile on my face. He tilted his head, a faint arc appearing at the corner of his mouth, as cold and sharp as moonlight on a blade. He uttered a string of unfamiliar syllables. Seeing my blank look, he could only sigh softly. Then he made a gesture for me to follow, walking straight towards the depths of the hall. Whether to go or not, Bai Lao and Qin Hao flashed through my mind. I thought, how can I catch tiger cubs without entering the tiger's den? I steeled my heart, gritted my teeth, and quickly followed him. He led me through the ruins, winding around. Finally, we stopped in front of an abandoned subway station. His fingers tapped rapidly on the automatic ticket machine. With a snap, the wall cracked open, and a hidden elevator was revealed. The numbers on the screen jumped wildly. Password verification, verify 100 Li, continuously decreasing to verify 0 Li. The elevator doors opened. I was completely stunned. The cyberpunk density here was off the charts. The walls were covered with heavy weapons and glowing screens. It was his secret base. He casually took off his goggles, revealing a pair of captivating heterochromatic eyes. The left eye was deep blue, the right eye amber, as beautiful as an overturned palette. Then he pinched a glowing blue capsule from a metal box and handed it to me. Seeing me still hesitating, he actually swallowed one himself first. Damn it! I steeled my heart. I tilted my head back and swallowed it. With a buzz, it felt like tiny electric currents were jumping in my brain. I suddenly felt a layer of film in my ear. Do you understand now? That clear, cold voice sounded again. It wasn't garbled code anymore, but went straight into my brain. I suddenly raised my head. My face was full of astonishment. I could actually understand him. He raised his eyebrows. He crossed his slender legs and sized me up. This is a neural link translator. It only lasts for 24 hours. Then, his eyes instantly became as sharp as a scalpel. Now answer me, who are you? Where did you come from? Why don't you have any signs of radiation mutation on you? The questions came like a barrage. They hit me head-on. My heart skipped a beat. I absolutely can't expose the existence of Earth. Otherwise, who can guarantee they won't launch an interdimensional war, relying on the huge technological gap? Earth can't stop them at all. I took a deep breath, and my face instantly changed to a textbook-like, confused expression. I don't remember. I woke up in the ruins. I covered my head, feigning a painful look. This amnesia excuse is too lame. Even a dog would shake its head. Mu Nan narrowed his eyes, staring at me intently, as if solving an unsolvable problem. Scans show that my brain is completely silent. There's no radiation on my body, even though my equipment is as primitive as a caveman, but my eyes are still clear. He sneered, thinking that everyone in the apocalypse has secrets, as long as they don't threaten him. He couldn't be bothered to expose them. Grumble, a loud stomach rumble broke the silence. My face turned red, and I quickly covered my stomach. After fussing for so long, I was already starving. Mu Nan's lips curled into a playful smile, and he casually threw a black lump of coal over. It turned out to be a compressed biscuit made of mutated cockroaches and earthworm powder. I almost cried on the spot after hearing that. I threw it aside with a look of disgust. Having something to eat is good enough. Why are you being so picky? He rolled his eyes impatiently. An electric stove and kettle. were set up directly. The moment the sauce was squeezed out, a faint greasy aroma immediately spread. I noticed Mu Nan's nose twitched noticeably. He put the lid on. The 3 minutes of waiting felt like a century. Steam rose up. The overbearing and rich aroma of braised beef instantly exploded in the basement. In this world filled with machine oil and mustiness, this fragrance is simply a biochemical weapon-level fatal temptation. Rose was completely stunned. Her pupils dilated, her throat kept rolling, and there was a clear swallowing sound. The girl's voice was trembling. What is this smell? The girl's voice was trembling. There was no memory of this kind of smell in her genetic memory. It's too fragrant, so fragrant that it makes people want to cry. Chen Sheng opened the lid. Steaming hot, she picked up a piece of seaweed noodles with a fork and blew on it. Want to eat? She looked at Rose, who was completely stunned, and asked with a smile. The girl nodded desperately, her silver short hair flying with the movement, completely losing the aloof goddess demeanor she had before. At this time, she was like a little glutton waiting to be fed. Here. Chen Sheng handed over the instant noodles. The girl snatched them away, not even caring about the soup. She started eating it directly in big gulps. So hot. Delicious. So delicious. The chewy noodles and the rich soup instantly conquered her stomach. She devoured it greedily, not even willing to chew it a few times, swallowing it directly into her stomach. Even if she was scalded with tears in her eyes, she wouldn't stop. In less than 2 minutes, she ate a bucket of noodles, soup and all, leaving not even a drop of oil. This is simply food of the gods, she murmured to herself. Finally, she sat up straight abruptly. Her eyes stared straight at Chen Sheng's backpack. Is there more? She stretched out her hand, demanding it as a matter of course. Chen Sheng smiled. Sure enough, she took the bait. In this world of scarce resources, technology may not be worth much, but delicious food is priceless. There is more. Chen Sheng slowly took out a bottle of Coke and twisted open the lid. There was a hissing sound of bubbles being released. But I can't give it to you for nothing. Let's make a deal. Chen Sheng took a sip of Coke, feeling the pleasure of the carbonation exploding in his mouth. Deal? The girl's eyes narrowed. What do you want? I'll give you food. Instant noodles, ham sausage, canned food, chocolate, even real meat. Chen Sheng's voice was full of enticement. And you give me technology. I need chips, holographic technology, advanced materials, or historical data from your world. How about a big meal for a piece of technology? A good deal, right? The girl was silent. She looked at the bottle of black, bubbling liquid in Chen Sheng's hand, and then savored the leftover beef noodle flavor in her mouth. Is it worth it? Those broken chips are trash all over the street, but this kind of delicious food is an exclusive luxury that money can't buy. This is a great deal. Deal. The girl slapped the table and agreed readily. I'm Mu Nan, a senior mechanic. He solemnly introduced his name for the first time. Chen Sheng. Chen Sheng also extended his hand. This is for you to calm your nerves. Chen Sheng handed over the half-drunk cola. Mu Nan took the cola. He carefully took a sip. That stimulating bubbly sensation, combined with the sweet sugar, instantly impacted his cerebral cortex. Delicious. The golden age seemed to have something called happy water beverage. I never thought I could drink something alive in my lifetime. Chen Sheng's heart pounded when he heard this. The golden age, 1,000 years ago. It seems that the historical disruption in this world is more serious than imagined. And Earth may be the path they took 1,000 years ago. The two hands clasped firmly in the air. You want technology. Mu Nan stood in front of the workbench, a confident arc appearing at the corner of his mouth. He turned around and lightly tapped a few times on a seemingly ordinary metal wall. Kaka kaka. Accompanied by a series of dull mechanical gear meshing sounds, the wall slowly slid open to both sides, revealing a hidden small warehouse behind. Go in and pick, you bumpkin. Mu Nan waved his hand casually. Chen Sheng took a deep breath and stepped inside. The next second, his eyes widened instantly, his pores contracted violently, and his breathing almost stopped. This wasn't a warehouse. It was simply an undiscovered mountain of technological treasures. The shelves were piled with all sorts of things Chen Sheng had never seen before, including miniature drones hovering in midair. Even in a dormant state, they still emitted a faint blue light. There were uniquely shaped single-soldier exoskeletons. Although somewhat damaged, the streamlined design and precise hydraulic transmission device still evoke a violent aesthetic. In the corner, there are even several weapons resembling laser guns piled up. The focusing lens of the gun muzzle is as brilliant as a diamond. These are all defective products. Chen Sheng pointed at the pile of things, his voice trembling. If these things were brought to Earth, any single one could drive those top scientists crazy. Of course, Mu Nan leaned against the door casually, playing with a metal nut in his hand. The anti-gravity module of that drone is burned out, can't be repaired. The neural link of that exoskeleton is short-circuited, wearing it would make you feel like you're paralyzed. As for those energy guns, they've long lost their energy cores, they're too light to crack walnuts, he said while wearing a disgusted expression. In this godforsaken place, these things are neither edible nor drinkable. If it weren't for taking apart some parts to repair my arm, I would have thrown them away as garbage long ago. Chen Sheng swallowed. A waste of resources. It's simply a waste of resources. He resisted the urge to empty this place, trying to calm himself down. His current backpack capacity is limited, and he doesn't have much food with him. Mu Nan. Chen Sheng turned around, looking at him sincerely. I don't have much food on me now. Enough for myself for only a few days. Can this transaction be on credit for now? When I come back from my hometown next time, I'll bring you a whole box of instant noodles, and things even better than instant noodles. Mu Nan raised his eyebrows, a hint of suspicion flashing in his doubtful eyes. Better than instant noodles? Are you lying to me? Chen Sheng patted his chest to assure. Absolutely not lying to you. In our place, there's also something called a self-heating hot pot, no fire, no electricity needed, just a little cold water. And you can eat piping hot spicy beef, crispy lotus root slices, and soft, glutinous potatoes. As Chen Sheng described it, Mu Nan's throat began to roll involuntarily again. Deal. He made a final decision, even more eager than Chen Sheng. You can pick whatever garbage you want in this warehouse, but the premise is that you must bring that something. Hot pot is coming, no problem. Chen Sheng showed a victorious smile. He took out a box of self-heating hot pot prepared for emergencies from his backpack, to show his sincerity. Here, you can try this box first, but I have a condition. Chen Sheng switched the box in his hand. Eat while you tell me about this world. I want to know what exactly happened here. Chapter 15. Code Name Extinction. 10 minutes later, that overbearing spicy aroma filled the basement again. Mu Nan held the hot pot, his mouth full of red oil, sucking in cold air from the spiciness. But he couldn't stop at all. So spicy, so good. Probably about 130 years ago. That is, in my great-grandfather's era. Mu Nan's eyes became a little erratic, as if passing through the mist of time. At that time, our world was called Apocalypse. The technology was highly developed. We were no longer confined to this planet. Huge interstellar warships were parked in orbit, like islands cast from steel. Our medical technology could cure cancer and even replace aging organs. The average human lifespan reached 150 years. Chen Sheng listened quietly, a storm raging in his heart. This is simply the utopia of human dreams. And then, he couldn't help but ask. Then, Mu Nan's eyes dimmed, and the chopsticks in his hand stopped. Then, we encountered another civilization. What are they called? No one knows. All we know is that they call themselves the God Race. Our fleet in front of them is like a kindergarten kid using a water gun to challenge fully armed special forces. In just one engagement, our ocean-going fleet was completely annihilated. Immediately afterwards, they released a virus into our planet. Mu Nan took a deep breath, his voice becoming cold and piercing. Code name, Extinction. It's not just a virus, but also a gene. It quickly infected 90% of the world's creatures. Humans became zombies, and animals became mutated beasts. The scariest thing is that this virus locked our intellectual ceiling. Even the surviving scientists become dull in their thinking, due to the effects of the virus radiation. Creativity has been exhausted. We can no longer develop more advanced technology. We can only patch up the legacy of the old era. That's why. More than 100 years have passed, and not only have we not counterattacked, but our doomsday is not just a natural disaster. It's also a man-made disaster, a dimensional strike by a higher civilization against a lower civilization. Just how powerful are those so-called gods? If Earth is discovered by them, Chen Sheng didn't dare to think further. His back was already soaked in cold sweat. Then how did you survive? Chen Sheng asked. Mu Nan shrugged and continued eating hot pot with his head down. Good luck, I guess. The virus mutated during its spread. In a small number of humans, antibodies were produced. We survivors are called the orphans. Although we won't turn into zombies, our fertility rate is extremely low, and we constantly face the risk of being eaten by monsters. That's also why I was so surprised when I saw you. Mu Nan raised his head, looking deeply at Chen Sheng. Your genes are very pure, without any trace of the virus. It's like coming from the golden age before the virus outbreak. Chen Sheng remained silent in his mind, not responding. He silently noted down every word Mu Nan said. This is not only the history of this world, but also a heavy warning to Earth. Backwardness will indeed lead to being beaten, and being beaten until your race is exterminated. Over the next 3 days, Chen Sheng acted like a student eager for knowledge, constantly following Mu Nan's side. He needed to understand the specific conditions of this world. Not only the macro history but also the micro details of life, because he knew that if the country wanted to develop here in the future, these everyday knowledge would be the most valuable survival guide. Although Mu Nan's words were harsh, under the temptation of delicious food, he was almost all-knowing and answered everything. Look at that. Mu Nan pointed to a moss in the corner of the ruins, emitting a faint purple light. That's called silverlight moss. Don't touch it under any circumstances. Its spores contain strong nerve toxins. Inhaling a little bit can make you hallucinate, thinking you're a demon, and then foolishly standing there waiting to die. Chen Sheng quickly wrote it down in his notebook and took a photo. And that, Mu Nan pointed to a gray cloud floating in the distance. That's acid cloud. It moves very fast, and because it contains a high concentration of industrial waste acid, once you get hit, your clothes won't last 10 minutes. If you see the clouds turn dark red, then quickly find shelter. Even going down into the sewer is better than staying outside. This is a water purification tablet. Mu Nan threw Chen Sheng a small pill. The surface water in this world is basically undrinkable. The heavy metal content exceeds the standard by hundreds of times. If you want to drink water, you must use this to filter it. Or find deep groundwater. Remember, don't trust any water source that looks clear. The clearer it looks, the more toxic it may be. In addition to this, Mu Nan also taught Chen Sheng how to identify mutated beasts to judge the enemy, how to use discarded electronic components to make simple alarm devices, and how to judge the direction of the zombie horde from the zombies' movement patterns. This knowledge is all Mu Nan gained from more than 10 years of struggling in this region. Experience paid for in blood and tears. Chen Sheng cherished it as if he had found a treasure. He even used a memory card specifically to record Mu Nan's entire explanation. This will be a compulsory textbook for the future Special Operations team members. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, the 4th day's mission is coming. According to the previous pattern, it's time for Chen Sheng to go back. He has already packed his backpack. Inside, it's filled with the spoils of this battle, a mechanical left arm that Mu Nan discarded. Although some of the joints are worn, the core circuit board is intact and of extremely high research value, and a pair of tactical goggles that have night vision, thermal imaging, and simple tactical analysis functions, as well as the holographic glasses he brought out from the library, and of course those dozens of heavy black crystals. I'm leaving. Chen Sheng shouldered his backpack and stood at the exit of the basement. Mu Nan held the last half bottle of cola in his hand, feeling a little reluctant. Reluctant to leave already? When will you come next time? And don't forget my hot pot. Chen Sheng smiled. Don't worry, I won't forget. Probably 3 days later. He looked at the time. 11:50, 10 more minutes. I'll see you out. Mu Nan stood up and put on his combat suit. The two walked out of the underground shelter. Back on the ruined streets above ground, Chen Sheng chose a relatively open plaza. Let's use this as the teleportation point. Chen Sheng stopped. Mu Nan, thank you for taking care of me these past few days. If it weren't for you, I might have died in that flying behemoth's mouth long ago. Mu Nan turned his head away. He snorted. Stop being so sappy. I did it for the hot pot. Just then, a sharp roar broke the farewell atmosphere. A mutated creature, the size of a cheetah, darted out from the nearby ruins. It had no fur on its body. Red muscles were exposed, and it had 2 long tails with sharp bone spurs at the tips. This is a small alien beast called a twin-tailed killer, known for its extreme speed. Extremely ferocious. Be careful, Mu Nan exclaimed in alarm. The energy cannon in his hand instantly charged up. Don't move. Let me handle this, Chen Sheng shouted, stopping Mu Nan. He glanced at the time. He had to crawl back no matter what. There were still 5 minutes left. This was an excellent opportunity for live combat. He wanted to test the combat techniques he had learned from Mu Nan these past few days, as well as these tactical glasses. Chen Sheng put on his goggles, and his vision instantly changed. Red thermal imaging outlined the silhouette of the alien beast. Next to it even popped up a line of simple data analysis, target, high-speed moving object, hotspot prediction, abdomen, throat cavity. Chen Sheng took a deep breath, raised the Type 95 rifle in his hand, and simultaneously hooked his left hand on a high-explosive grenade. Come on, beast! The alien beast roared and pounced, its speed like a red flash of lightning. Chen Sheng calmly sidestepped and rolled, avoiding the attack. While rolling, it fired, the bullets accurately hitting the mutated beast's abdomen. A string of blood splattered. The mutated beast, in pain, swung its tail even more frantically. Those 2 tails, like steel whips, attacked Chen Sheng. Chen Sheng didn't confront it head-on. Instead, he used the surrounding cover, moving nimbly. He stopped behind a broken stone pillar. He pulled the pin on the grenade. 3, 2, 1. Just as the mutated beast rounded the stone pillar, Chen Sheng released his hand. And threw the grenade. Humph! Close-range explosion. Knocked the mutated beast over. A large hole was blown open in its abdomen, guts spilling everywhere. Without the slightest hesitation, Chen Sheng rushed forward, drawing his alloy long sword, and stabbed it fiercely into the mutated beast's throat. The battle ended, clean and swift. Mu Nan stood to the side, a hint of surprise flashing in his eyes. Not bad. Barbarian, you're improving quickly. Chen Sheng panted heavily. Wiping the sweat from his face, he skillfully dissected the mutated beast's brain, taking out a black crystal much larger than the ones in zombie brains. This orange one is good. He smiled, looking at his watch. 11:59 and 50 seconds. 10 seconds left. Chen Sheng steadied himself, tidied up his equipment. Goodbye, Mu Nan. He waved to Mu Nan, waiting for that familiar countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 12 o'clock. Time's up. However, 1 second passed, 2 seconds passed, 5 seconds passed. The surrounding scenery didn't change at all. The ruins were still ruins, the gray sky still oppressive. That familiar blue light didn't appear, and there was no sensation of being pulled away. The smile on Chen Sheng's face froze. His heart skipped a beat. What's going on? Why wasn't there a teleport? Could it be the wrong time? Impossible. The tactical watch is specially made. The error wouldn't exceed 0.01 seconds. Could it be the wrong location? Also impossible. Last time was near here. A huge panic, like a tide, washed over his heart. The moment overwhelmed Chen Sheng's reason. How could it be? How could this happen? His face turned pale, and cold sweat instantly soaked his back. He couldn't go back. Was he abandoned in this region? Or did the teleportation mechanism fail? If so, wouldn't he be stuck here forever until he becomes a corpse in these ruins? What's wrong? Mu Nan noticed Chen Sheng's abnormality. She looked at Chen Sheng's terrified expression. She asked, puzzled, weren't you leaving? Why are you still standing here? Chen Sheng opened his mouth, but couldn't make a sound. His throat seemed to be blocked by something. That kind of fear of the unknown, longing for his hometown, and despair over the mission's failure intertwined, almost causing him to break down. Meanwhile, on Earth at the Zero Temporary Research Command Center, the atmosphere was so heavy it was almost suffocating. Chen Hao stared intently at the teleportation platform, his eyes bloodshot. His old hands gripped the armrests of the chair tightly, his knuckles white from the force. The countdown on the big screen had already reached 0. At 12 hours and 5 minutes, that familiar blue light didn't light up. Chen Sheng didn't return. What's going on? Technicians, check it for me. Chen Hao slammed the table, shouting in a hoarse voice, report! Energy monitoring shows the channel is in a state of extremely unstable fluctuation. The technician's voice was tearful. It's possible that the energy reflection from the black crystal caused the channel to temporarily close. Temporarily? How long is that? I don't know. It could be a few hours, or it could be forever. The entire command center fell into dead silence. Everyone's heart was heavy. Chen Sheng was not just a soldier, he was the only hope. He was the bridge connecting the two worlds. If he couldn't come back, then all this effort would be in vain. More importantly, they had lost a hero. Don't panic. Just then, Old Bai, who had been silent, stood up. His voice, though old, had a strength like a magic needle stabilizing the sea. But at the team, increase the energy input monitoring of the heavy motion, and once there's an opportunity, immediately guide the coordinates back to the post-apocalyptic world. Chen Sheng sat on the ground, holding his head in his hands. His eyes were hollow. That feeling of being abandoned by the world almost broke him. Hey, barbarian. A robotic hand gently patted his shoulder. Mu Nan squatted in front of him, a rare hint of concern in his eyes. Although I don't know what trouble you've encountered, sitting here is a dead end. Your heart rate is fast, your blood pressure is high. You're afraid. Chen Sheng looked up. I'm afraid of dying. His voice was hoarse. What I'm afraid of is that I can never go back. To that place with blue skies, white clouds, braised pork, and people waiting for me. I still have a mission to complete and a promise to fulfill. Mu Nan was silent for a moment. He held out his hand and pulled Chen Sheng up. Since you can't go back, then let's survive first. Let's go back to my base. Your arm is injured. That beast just now tore your protective suit. Chen Sheng looked down and realized that on his left arm was a deep, bone-deep wound. Blood was seeping out. I was too nervous just now and forgot the pain. Okay. Chen Sheng took a deep breath. Forcing himself to stand up, fear is useless. As long as you're alive, there is hope. Back at the underground base, Mu Nan opened a futuristic transparent pod. Chen Sheng lay down without a second thought. As the hatch closed, a soft green light swept over his entire body. Immediately afterwards, a cool mist sprayed onto the wound. Chen Sheng was surprised to see that the originally hideous wound was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Muscles were regenerating, and skin was closing. In just 10 minutes, the wound was reduced to a faint pink mark. This is truly healing the wounded and reviving the dead. Chen Sheng was once again shocked by the medical technology of this world. If this technology can be brought back, how many soldiers' lives could be saved? Thinking of this, the fighting spirit reignited in his eyes. I can't die, absolutely can't die. With so many good things in hand, even if I have to crawl, I will crawl back. Chapter 17, bringing a hot pot next time I see you. Day 4. Chen Sheng is still trapped in this world, but he is no longer as panicked as yesterday. He began to sort out his thoughts, trying to analyze the reason for being unable to teleport. He took out that piece of large black crystal taken from the brain of the twin-tailed hunter. Mu Nan, what do you guys call this thing? Mu Nan glanced at it and casually said, black crystal. This is the source of mutation for those mutants, and also the source of their power. About several decades ago, the last Academy of Sciences developed something called a black crystal converter, which can convert this thing into pure electrical energy. Most of the energy in my base now relies on this thing. Besides being a battery, it's useless. Chen Sheng thought to himself. Only Blue Star knows that black crystals can expand wormholes. It seems that the wormhole swallowed the black crystal brought last time, causing energy overload, or a qualitative change which made him stay for an extra day. If that's the case, then as long as the energy stabilizes or reaches a certain threshold, he can go back. This conjecture made Chen Sheng see hope again. Time came to evening again. In the basement, a lonely man and a widow have been together for 4 days. In this doomsday world where death is possible at any time, the suspension bridge effect is infinitely amplified. Mu Nan looked at Chen Sheng, who was organizing his equipment, with a complex expression. This man, although he doesn't have a strong team or smart support, the kind of tenacity and dedication to his homeland, as well as his superb skill in making instant noodles, made her already cold mechanical heart skip a beat for a long time. Chen Sheng. Mu Nan suddenly spoke. Chen Sheng raised his head. Mu Nan walked over. Standing in front of him, less than 5 kilometers apart, Chen Sheng could even smell the faint scent of chicken oil and that unique fragrance on him. He stood on tiptoe, wrapped his hands around Chen Sheng's neck, and that cold yet soft lips awkwardly pressed down. Chen Sheng's mind went blank. He widened his eyes, feeling the sensation on his lips. A little sweet like cola, a little spicy like hot pot, and a little bit of excitement. He subconsciously reached out, wanting to hold Mu Nan's waist. However, just as their lips barely touched, and the ambiguous atmosphere was just heating up to its peak, the space behind Chen Sheng suddenly twisted violently. A huge blue vortex appeared without warning, and a powerful suction instantly erupted. Fuck! Chen Sheng only had time to let out an exclamation. His whole body was like being flushed down a toilet, instantly sucked into the wormhole. Chen Sheng. Mu Nan was startled by this sudden change and subconsciously reached out to grab, but grabbed empty air. That man, along with that wormhole, disappeared without a trace in an instant, leaving only Mu Nan standing there, touching her lips. Holy crap, is this the power of a kiss? He just vanished with a light touch. In the Earth Zero Command Center, time has passed. For a full 24 hours, everyone had already given up hope. Even Qin Hao was already starting to draft Chen Sheng's eulogy in his mind. Just then, on the teleportation platform, the originally dim monitor suddenly burst out with a piercing buzz. Energy reaction. High energy reaction. The wormhole has opened. Everyone suddenly looked up, only to see on the teleportation platform a blue light flashed and a figure staggered out of the light. Chen Sheng sat down on the ground, still tightly holding the backpack in his arms. I'm back. I'm back. Chen Sheng looked at the familiar faces around him, looked at the bright shadowless lamp overhead, and smelled the scent of disinfectant in the air. Never felt that all of this was so clear. Chen Sheng. Qin Hao rushed up first, pulled him up, and hugged him tightly. You kid, you scared me to death, this Iron Man. At this moment, there was a slight sob in his voice. Old Qin, old Bai. And all the researchers, all surrounded him. Applause, cheers, and sobs resounded throughout the underground base. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. Old Bai held Chen Sheng's hand, tears streaming down his face with excitement. Report to the chief. Chen Sheng wiped his face, stood at attention and saluted. Chen Sheng has not failed his mission. when he took out the mechanical arm, the holographic glasses, and the dozens of black crystals. The entire gray room boiled. God, the transmission structure of this mechanical arm. It's simply a genius design, holographic glasses, a true immersive experience. My God, if we reverse engineer this, our simulation training system, we'll be invincible in the world, and so many of these black crystals. And when Chen Sheng mentioned the extinction plan and the Protoss, everyone's faces became solemn. This is not only wealth but also a warning. Finally, Chen Sheng mentioned the white mouse this time. Although I only stayed for a day, I found that as the wormhole swallowed the black crystal, the stability seems to be increasing, although the white mouse still died. But the corpse was better preserved than last time. This shows that as long as there is enough energy, the wormhole will be able to pass through Mars sooner or later. This conclusion made everyone see a glimmer of hope. Good, great. Chen Hao waved his hand and immediately established a special team to fully analyze the technology brought back. Send all these black crystals to feed the wormhole. We must spare no expense. Open up this lifeline connecting the two worlds. Chen Sheng stood in the center of the crowd, looking at everyone's busy and excited figures. A tired but satisfied smile appeared on his face. These 4 days of thrills, these 4 days of life and death torture, were worth it. It just subconsciously touched its lips, where there seemed to be a faint trace of dew of thirst. Mu Nan. It silently recited this name in its heart. Wait for me, next time I will definitely bring hot pot to see you. Chapter 18. A spanning vibration, the low morning sunlight, filtering through the cracks of the disguised dome above the base, dappling the huge underground space. The air is filled with ozone, and the unique rubbery smell after friction with high-energy particles, mixed with the low hum of machinery operation, forming a symphony belonging to the heavy industrial era. Chen Sheng stood there, looking up at the breathtaking miracle before him. The irregular aperture that could only accommodate 1.5 people before has now undergone earth-shattering changes. It has expanded, becoming a huge circular light gate with a diameter of 5 meters. The deep blue light curtain, like a deep ocean, slowly flows within the huge metal ring, occasionally stirring up circles of golden ripples, as if it were a giant beast breathing in the deep sea. Too spectacular. Chang Hao, standing beside Chen Sheng, held an unlit cigarette in his hand. His voice trembled slightly. 5 meters. This means we can send armored vehicles. And even heavy tanks over there. A fanatical flame burned in his eyes, a desire for power. It is also a conquest of the unknown world. Chen Sheng nodded, his eyes equally deep. Last night, I felt that the speed at which the black crystal was being consumed was accelerating. I didn't expect to wake up to such a big surprise. Not far away, a dozen research experts in white protective suits were busy around the light gate. Various precision instruments emitted a beeping sound. Has the activity detection result come out? Bai Lao, leaning on a cane, although old, was energetic and asked in a loud voice. A young researcher ran over with a report with both excitement and a confused expression on his face. Bai Lao, the data is very strange. The stability of the spatial structure has increased by 300%. In theory, not only inanimate objects but also complex organic life forms should be able to withstand this transmission pressure. But the researcher hesitated, glancing at the cage Chen Sheng wanted to build, which was holding the white mice that had been newly caught these days. But we just tried throwing a rabbit in, and as soon as the front half of its body touched the light curtain, its vital signs instantly went to 0. That strange spatial cutting rule still exists. It just seems to have become gentler. Old Bai sighed and frowned. It seems Chen Sheng is the only special one. The key to this world is still only in his hands. The next teleportation is in 6 hours. Chen Sheng didn't waste time and was on the road. He turned and walked towards the base's training ground. There, the army's top instructors were waiting for him. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of physical collisions between Chen Sheng and the instructor echoed in the training hall. Chen Sheng was bare-chested, sweat running down his well-built muscles, every muscle like a piece of steel that had been tempered 1,000 times. The instructor, Zhang Tai, opposite him, was wearing a black tactical vest and holding 2 heavy fighting targets, forcefully. Haven't eaten? Zhang Tai roared, rushing forward. He slammed the fighting targets hard into Chen Sheng's chest. Chen Sheng's eyes narrowed. His feet faltered slightly, and his body swayed like a willow catkin to deflect the force. Turning around, a fierce roundhouse kick, with the sound of wind, heavily struck Zhang Tai's defensive blind spot. Snap! With a crisp sound, Zhang Tai retreated 3 steps, his arms slightly numb. But he had a satisfied smile on his face. Good boy, this dragon swings its tail move. Has some flair. Looks like you didn't waste your time practicing with zombies over there. The two stopped fighting and sat on the benches by the side of the field to rest. Qi Wubbing handed over 2 bottles of energy drinks and towels. Zhang Tai tilted his head back and took a big gulp, looking at the several scars on Chen Sheng's body that hadn't completely faded, his expression becoming a little complicated. I heard about the girl you met in that dimension. Zhang Tai nudged Chen Sheng with his elbow, a knowing smile on his face that all men understood. She's a high-tech mechanical girl. How was it? Did anything happen? A love story across races? Chen Sheng was stunned for a moment. The hand-wiping sweat stopped in midair. In his mind, there emerged Mu Nan's delicate but cold face, and that microanimal carrying coke. But he quickly shook his head, his eyes regaining their lightness and firmness. No. Instructor Zhang, please don't joke with me. Chen Sheng unscrewed the bottle cap. He looked at the transparent liquid in the bottle, speaking calmly, as if narrating someone else's story. Over there, I am the only Chinese. Every step I take, I carry the hope of 1.4 billion people. Every bite I eat, every bullet I use, even this bottle of water I'm drinking now, is given to me by the country. He turned his head, looking at Zhang Tai with burning eyes. Without the country, I would have died in the first zombie wave. Without the country, I would have starved to death in the ruins long ago. Talking about love at this juncture is too extravagant. My life right now is not my own. These words were not spoken with passion, but rather plainly. But every word was like a nail, hammered into the ground. Zhang Tai put away the smile on his face. He looked at this young man, more than 10 years younger than himself, and suddenly felt a pang of emotion. This is the soldier of China. This is the backbone of the country. Okay. Zhang Tai heavily patted Chen Sheng's shoulder. The force was so great that it almost knocked Chen Sheng down. Just hearing you say that is enough for me to brag about for a lifetime. But don't strain yourself too much. You are also a human, not a machine. Relaxing appropriately is good for mental health and also for better completing the mission. Chen Sheng smiled. Without refuting, the two were silent for a while, their eyes cast towards the sky above the base. That unseen sky. Chen Sheng, you say we're working so hard. What exactly is it for? Zhang Tai suddenly asked. Chen Sheng thought for a moment, and asked back, Instructor, what do you think? Zhang Tai smiled, revealing a mouthful of white teeth. I used to think it was just to protect our homes and country, and not let that white British neighbor bully us. But since hearing the intelligence you brought back, and hearing about that, what was it, the Protoss? Those invaders who can easily destroy advanced civilizations? Speaking of this, Zhang Tai's eyes became as sharp as knives. I think our vision was still too shallow. Our opponents are no longer those clowns on Earth. Our journey should be the stars and the sea. We must become so strong that, when that so-called Protoss dares to stretch its claws towards Earth, we can chop off their claws. Chen Sheng was deeply moved. This was exactly what he was thinking. Instructor, what are your plans for the future? Chen Sheng asked. Zhang Tai pointed to the Equipment Research and Development Center not far away. I heard that the madmen at the Academy of Sciences are reverse engineering the robotic arm you brought back. If they can really create that kind of single-soldier exoskeleton armor. Zhang Tai stood up and stretched his neck, making cracking sounds. Although I'm getting old, these old bones are still strong. I want to apply to be in the first batch of armored warriors. If that day really comes, I also want to go to that world and help you share some of the pressure. Can't let you fight alone over there. Chen Sheng looked at Zhang Tai's broad back, and a warm current surged in his heart. Okay. Chen Sheng also stood up. Then I'll do my best to bring back more technology. Let's build China into an untouchable behemoth. Chapter 19, Teleportation Failure. As dawn approached, the time pointed to 11:30 a.m. The core area of Base Zero was filled with an extremely solemn atmosphere. All irrelevant personnel had been evacuated, leaving only the most core operation team and security forces. Chen Sheng stood on the teleportation platform. This time, he was no longer alone. Behind him was parked a black steel behemoth that had been modified. It was a vehicle equipped with a 12.7mm heavy machine gun and 35mm automatic grenade launcher. The vehicle is also stuffed with various supplies, compressed dry rations, water purification equipment, medical kit, solar generator. There are even a few boxes of instant noodles and hot pot seasoning for trading. This is the crystallization of China's military industry. It is the nation's most solid backing for Chen Sheng. Chen Sheng, this vehicle has undergone special modification. All electronic components have been treated for EMP, electromagnetic pulse. Qin Hao patted the car door, his eyes full of pride. As long as the active radar is not turned on, it's just a rock. Also, the 2 boxes in the trunk are a special gift for you. Chen Hao lowered his voice and said mysteriously. Inside are 2 sets of dragon-scale individual body armor that are still in development. 3 times stronger than the set you're wearing. Remember, you must come back alive. Chen Sheng nodded heavily, pulled open the car door, and jumped into the driver's seat. The moment he gripped the steering wheel, the heavy metallic texture gave him peace of mind. Attention all units, 10 minutes to countdown. The voice came from the broadcast. The sound of the countdown. Chen Sheng took a deep breath and started the car. The engine emitted a low roar, like a wild beast about to be unleashed. The 5-meter-wide passage was just enough for this warrior to pass through. Everyone held their breath. This is a gamble. If the vehicle can be brought over, then Chen Sheng's survival ability in that world will increase exponentially, and this also means that the future delivery of heavy equipment has become possible. 10, 9, 8. Chen Sheng stepped on the accelerator. The wheels on the ground. Friction created blue smoke. 3, 2, 1, teleport. Chen Sheng suddenly released the brakes. The warrior rushed towards the ghostly blue light gate like an arrow from a bow. However, the expected sense of dizziness did not appear, nor did the expected sense of spatial pulling. After that, Chen Sheng subconsciously stepped on the brake. The warrior stopped less than half a meter away from the light gate, the tires on the ground, dragging out 2 long, dark shadows. The air suddenly became deathly silent. Chen Sheng was stunned. He looked at the light gate in front of him, still slowly rotating, and then at himself. His hands were intact. No reaction. What's going on? Chen Hao's voice exploded in the communication channel, with undisguised anxiety. Report, there is no spatial fluctuation reaction. The wormhole is in a silent state. The transmission request was rejected. A panicked report came from the technical team. Chen Sheng pushed open the car door and jumped out. He reached out to touch the light gate. His palm passed through, as if passing through a thin mist. There was no obstruction, nor any sign of transmission. He was still on Earth. Failed. Chen Sheng's heart sank to the bottom. Could it be because the wormhole became larger and lost its transmission function? Or did he lose that special qualification? If so, then all the previous efforts, all the sacrifices, wouldn't they all become a joke? Don't panic. Bai Lao's voice rang out again, stabilizing morale. Data group immediately analyzed the black crystal energy residue. 10 minutes later, an urgent analysis report was presented to everyone. It's not a small matter. A space physicist with gray hair adjusted his glasses, his eyes flashing with excitement. Comrade Chen Sheng, according to our model deduction, this might be good news. Good news? Chen Hao frowned. Yes. The expert pointed to a curve on the holographic screen. As the wormhole devoured a large amount of black crystal, its energy density increased sharply. This increase is not only reflected in the expansion of the channel but also in the stabilization of time anchoring and other aspects. In simple terms, although the time flow rate between the 2 worlds has not changed, Comrade Chen Sheng's stay in the 2 worlds has been extended. Before, he had to transmit every day at noon, and the stay time was fixed. Now, because there is enough energy, the wormhole may enter the charging and cooling cycle. In other words, the expert paused. He offered a conclusion. Comrade Chen Sheng may need to stay on Earth longer. Maybe 2 days, maybe 3, until the realignment is complete for the next phase. Similarly, the next time he goes to that world, the duration of his stay will also be extended accordingly. Hearing this explanation, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. As long as it wasn't cut off, then that's good, that's good. Han Hao wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Since he can't leave, then continue training. Continue preparing. This vehicle isn't perfect enough. The Jiazhuang 2 sets of unmanned aerial vehicle launch nests. Reinspect the supplies, replace those that can't be stored for long. Although the teleportation failed, this has given China more time to prepare. Since heaven has granted this buffer period, then use it to the fullest extent. Chen Sheng got out of the car, looked at the quiet light gate. He couldn't leave for the time being. Then let's do something more meaningful. Old Bai, Director Han, Chen Sheng turned to look at the 2 leaders. I heard that there have been breakthroughs in the research on holographic technology. Old Bai smiled and nodded. I was just about to tell you about this. Since you're not leaving today, then come and be a guinea pig. See what we've created using the glasses you brought back. On the other side of the base, the door to a highly confidential laboratory slowly opened. There was no complicated mechanical equipment inside. Only a futuristic silver helmet was quietly placed on the test bench. That was the effort of the whole country. The result of thousands of top scientists working day and night, the first-generation holographic simulation tactical helmet. Put on Sky Eye, page 20. The lights in the laboratory were soft. Chen Sheng held the silver helmet in his hands. Felt icy cold. This is our first-generation prototype after reverse analyzing those holographic glasses. Professor Li, who is in charge of the project, with huge dark circles under his eyes, but his eyes twinkled with fervent light. Although in terms of volume, it can't be as light and convenient as the original version, but in terms of the sensitivity of neural links and the realism of sensory simulation, we've restored 80%. Chen Sheng, give it a try. Chen Sheng took a deep breath and put the helmet on his head. Ka-click. As the buckle locked, the field of vision fell into darkness, followed by the system booting up. Neural link connected. A slight sense of dizziness came, and the next second, light burst forth. Chen Sheng suddenly opened his eyes, finding himself no longer in the lab, but standing in a desolate desert, the wind howling, whipping up dust. It stung on his face with a real sensation. The air was dry and hot, and inhaling it even made his throat feel dry. Chen Sheng was shocked and reached out to grab a handful of sand from the ground. The grains of sand slipped through his fingers. The rough friction was terrifyingly real. Okay! A roar came from a distance. A huge mutated sandworm burst out from the ground, opening its fanged maw and attacking him. Chen Sheng instinctively reached for the gun at his waist, his hand feeling heavy. A familiar Type 95 assault rifle appeared out of nowhere. The weight, the texture, even the smell of gun oil were all exactly right. Da-da-da. Chen Sheng pulled the trigger, the recoil numbing his shoulder. The bullet hit the sandworm. Chen Sheng exploded a cloud of green blood, the stench instantly spreading. 10 minutes later, Chen Sheng took off his helmet, covered in sweat, his face pale. But his eyes were filled with extreme shock. Too real. If I didn't have the memories from over there, I wouldn't even be able to tell which is reality and which is illusion. If this technology is used for military training, it will be able to mass-produce veterans with combat experience. The experiment was very successful. Qin Hao excitedly slapped his thigh. But this is only the first step. According to our plan, we will launch a simplified civilian version of the product. This requires a carrier, a name. Qin Hao looked at Chen Sheng and said seriously, with the approval of the highest level, we will establish a high-tech company in your name. The name will be Huaxia Shengshi Technology Company, Limited. We will release the second-generation holographic simulation technology product, codenamed Immersive GamePod. This product will be sold worldwide, but the core technology will always be in our hands. Just one day later, China Shengshi Technology's first product, Life Before Love GamePod, was quietly launched on the official website, with no press conference and no advertising bombardment. There was only a simple line of introduction. Want to experience a real second world? If you dare, come and get it. Limited to 1,000 units, priced at 500,000 renminbi. This price is astronomical for ordinary people. But for those wealthy second-generation individuals and enthusiasts who seek the ultimate experience, it's just a number. As expected, in less than a second after going online, all 1,000 game pods were sold out instantly, a huge sum of 500 million renminbi. After deducting taxes and fees, it was directly transferred to Chen Sheng's personal account. Looking at this long string of zeros in his mobile banking app, Chen Sheng felt a little apprehensive. He had never seen so much money in his life. Chen Sheng, accept it. Bai Lao said earnestly, this is what you deserve. You're risking your life over there. The country can't let you be materially deprived. Moreover, the company's operating costs and R&D costs are all borne by the country. This money is just for your pocket money. Pocket money? 500 million renminbi in pocket money. Chen Sheng gave a wry smile. Looking at those numbers, what came to his mind were the soldiers guarding the borders and those in impoverished mountainous areas. Those who dedicate their lives to scientific research. Money is really just a number to him. In the post-apocalyptic world, a loaf of bread is worth more than a ton of gold. Chen Sheng raised his head, his eyes clear. I can't accept this money. I eat well at the base, and I'm well clothed. This money is too hot to handle. Then what do you plan to do? Qin Hao asked. Chen Sheng took out his phone and started operating it. Leave me 1 million. In case I retire in the future, I still need to marry a wife. He cracked a joke, then quickly tapped to transfer the remaining 49,900. Donate 100 million to the military industry R&D department to get some good equipment for our soldiers. Donate 100 million to the family fund of martyrs who sacrificed their lives on duty. Donate 100 million to Han Hong Charity Foundation so that he can help those affected people. Donate the remaining 199 million to Project Hope. I want children in the mountains to have access to holographic teaching equipment. Operation complete. Looking at the balance, Chen Sheng felt relieved that 1 million was not a small amount. I feel like a big rock has fallen from my heart. I feel at ease now. Qin Hao and Bai Lao looked at each other and saw that this was their hero. Unwavering in the face of huge sums of money, what fills his heart is always the country and the world. Good, very good. Bai Lao nodded heavily. The country will remember your contribution. The people will remember your name. And on the other end of the online world, a storm is brewing. The next day, SF Express trucks delivered huge black wooden boxes to buyers all over the country, in a mobile luxury villa in Modu. Wang Xikong, a top rich second generation in China, is also a well-known game streamer. At this time, he was facing the camera with a look of disbelief. Brothers, today we're unboxing the 500,000 game pod from that Xinghe technology. To be honest, I don't believe it. What is the current state of VR technology? Don't you all know? And you still need to bring this coffin-like pod? It's definitely a gimmick. I'm putting my words here. If this thing is still the kind of mosaic VR, I'll eat this pod door on the spot. The barrage in the live broadcast room is frantically spamming. President Wang is generous. Waiting to eat the pod door. Domestic technology, is it cutting leaks again? A coffin bought for $500,000. I don't understand the world of the rich. Same. Buying a pod is not bad. Wang Xikong touched the pod. That kind of cold metallic texture made him slightly put away a bit of contempt. Okay. This young master will test the waters for you. He laid down inside and the pod door slowly closed. The livestream screen instantly switched to the GamePod's first-person projection. Game start. The name is simple. Dawn Era. No loading bar, no logo, the screen went black. Then it instantly lit up. Wang Xikong opened his eyes and found himself standing on a dilapidated street. The sky was gray. Distant buildings collapsed. In the air, you could almost smell the stench of decay. Damn! Wang Xikong subconsciously swore. He raised his hand and looked at his palm. The lines were clearly visible. He felt the vibration of the ground under his feet spreading throughout his body. This is a game. Did they transmigrate? The livestream's barrage instantly disappeared. All the viewers were stunned. This graphics quality, this lighting, where is this a game? This is simply movie level. This is real-world footage. Good. Just as Wang Xikong was still in a daze, a zombie popped out of the nearby trash can. That rotten face, the pus-filled eye sockets, were actually roaring. Ah! Wang Xikong let out a pig-slaughtering scream. That kind of overwhelming aura of death, that kind of fear from the depths of his soul, instantly broke him down. He turned around and ran. As a result, he slipped and fell face-first in the dirt. The pain from his knee, although it was reduced, was still clear. Pain, pain, pain. It really hurts. Help, there are ghosts. Zombies swarmed up, biting his neck, blood spurting. Wang Xikong only felt a chill on his neck, then his vision turned blood red. You died. Please choose to revive or exit. The game pod door suddenly opened. Wang Xikong scrambled. Out of it, his whole body drenched in cold sweat. Even there was a suspicious wet stain on his crotch. He slumped on the ground, panting heavily, his eyes full of fear, but even more so of a sense of surviving. A disaster. Brothers, Wang Xikong said to the camera. This is what a game should be. 50,000? This thing is worth 5 million. So awesome. So exciting. I take back what I said. Shengshi technology is awesome. China's technology is awesome. Not only Wang Xikong, at the same time, hundreds of streamers across the internet who received the product were staging similar scenes. Some were scared to tears, some were scared to pee, some were shouting excitedly, but without exception, no one said it was a scam anymore. The whole internet is boiling. Holy crap, this graphics. I want to buy it. I'll sell myself to buy it. This is what you call the metaverse. The others are garbage. Shengshi Technology's official website was instantly overwhelmed, and the server crashed dozens of times. Countless orders flew in like snowflakes. People went crazy. Behind this carnival, only a few people know that this is not just a game. Is this an upcoming cross-dimensional war? First is resources, second is guns. Mose, I'm back. Base 0. Top secret conference room. The holographic screen is playing various streamers being chased by zombies in the game. Crying for their parents and yelling, several generals and scientists are sitting around together, their expressions serious, but their eyes revealing a trace of imperceptible effect. The effect is even better than expected. Qin Hao pointed at the screen and said, these players have strong adaptability. Although they were scared at first, they quickly began to try to fight back. Look at this one named. Although Long Outyan's player died 3 times on the 4th try, he already learned to use the terrain to trap the zombie's neck and then smash its head with a brick. Chen Sheng sat beside him, somewhat puzzled. Director, I don't understand why we need to use this technology to push it to the public so quickly and make it into a game. This is, after all, related to national secrets. Old Bai smiled slightly. turned around and looked at Chen Sheng. Chen Sheng, do you think if you were alone in that world, how many zombies could you kill? Chen Sheng was silent. Even if we gave you the best equipment, you are still just one person. You will get tired, you will get injured. You also need to collect supplies and find technology. You can't handle everything on your own. Old Bai pressed a button. The screen changed. It showed the Academy of Sciences, urgently developing a humanoid robot. Equipped with the Pioneer, it has flexible joints and a strong alloy skeleton, capable of mounting various weapons. This is the second big gift we are going to give you, a combat robot. However, current AI technology cannot yet cope with that kind of complex battlefield environment. Robots need people to control them. We can't send millions of soldiers over there, and we can't afford that impulse. But, Old Bai's voice rose a few degrees, carrying a grand strategic spirit. We can send the signal over there. As long as we establish a signal base station there, and open up quantum communication between the two worlds, then, every game pod here is a cockpit, every player is a warrior remotely controlling a robot. They think they are playing a game, but in reality, the robots they are controlling are in another world, charging into battle for you. They are not afraid of death because they can respawn after dying. They are full of energy and can work in 24-hour shifts. This is the fourth Calamity. Chen Sheng's eyes widened, his whole body trembling with this crazy and genius plan. To let 10,000 players become his undead army, this is simply too crazy. As long as this plan succeeds with a little addition, you will no longer be fighting alone. As long as you give an order, tens of millions of robots will surge out like a tide. To clear all obstacles for you now, the nation's scientists haven't closed their eyes for 3 days and nights and are fully tackling the delay problem of quantum communication. And your task is to find more advanced communication technology blueprints over there, or ready-made equipment to speed up this process. Chen Sheng suddenly stood up, saluted a standard military salute and guaranteed to complete the task. At this moment, he no longer felt lonely because he knew that behind him, there were not only the country but also 10,000 enthusiastic players. The next morning, the transmission was turned on again, and this time the fluctuating energy finally stabilized. Reached the threshold of transmission. Chen Sheng sat in that armed to the teeth Mengsher Jeep. He wore sunglasses and held the steering wheel. A confident smile hung on the corner of his mouth. On the passenger seat was a cage of white mice that he never left. The back seat was piled with hot pot seasonings and instant noodles ordered from Mu Nan. Of course, there is also the more important mission objective. Let's go. Chen Sheng stepped on the accelerator, and the steel behemoth made a roar from the exhaust pipe. Blue flames spewed out. Humph! The Mengsher car turned into a black lightning and rushed into that huge, deep blue light gate. This time, there was no obstacle. The car body disappeared into the light curtain in an instant. Mu Nan, I'm back. The hot pot is here. Chapter 22. The Power of Industry, the Victory of the System. The dizziness was stronger than any other time, as if an invisible big hand had ruthlessly rubbed Chen Sheng's internal organs together and then thrown them forcefully into the air. Humph, accompanied by a dull, loud noise that armed to the teeth Mengsher. The Type 3 assault vehicle crashed heavily onto the hard concrete ground. The shock absorption system emitted a distressed groan, but stubbornly held on. The steel behemoth, Chen Sheng hadn't even recovered from the days of time travel. A nauseating, thick, almost suffocating stench of decay seeped in through the cracks of the car window. Violently assaulting his nostrils, he abruptly opened his eyes. The next second, his scalp instantly exploded. Cold sweat poured from his forehead like a waterfall. Damn it! A classic curse escaped his lips. This was not the secluded alley he left last time at all. This was a huge open-air square, and on the square, densely packed, like a black tide, were zombies. Tens of thousands. They were originally perhaps wandering aimlessly or engaged in some kind of perplexing group behavior, but at this moment all the zombies' movements ceased. Tens of thousands of grayish-white, empty eyes filled with lifelessness turned in unison, staring intently at this black steel monster that appeared out of nowhere and the one sitting in the driver's seat. A human exuding an alluring aura of the living. The silence lasted for less than a second. The next moment, a roar loud enough to shatter eardrums erupted. It was the roar of hell. The zombie horde was like a flood breaching a dam, with a madness to destroy everything. Rushing toward Chen Sheng, who was in the center of the square, and on the periphery of the zombie horde, Chen Sheng also saw an even more despairing sight. They were enormous mutated beasts. They looked like skin giant wolves, but had bony barbs and 2 heads. These predators, who were originally preying on zombies, also stopped their movements at this moment, greedily sniffing the air for that fresh, meaty scent. For them, Chen Sheng, this Tang Sanzang meat was far more attractive than those rotting zombies. Damn beasts, Chen Sheng cursed while performing tactical maneuvers at top speed. At this moment, his brain was frighteningly calm. This was the instinct engraved in his bones from countless life and death experiences and training. His left hand slammed the steering wheel. His right hand slammed the gear lever into high-speed mode, and he floored the accelerator. Wow, the engine of the Warrior 3 roars with a savage fury. Like a ferocious beast awakened, the 12-cylinder diesel engine unleashes terrifying torque. The wheels violently grind against the ground, kicking up clouds of dust. Since you're seeking death, then taste the flavor of steel. A cold glint flashes in Chen Sheng's eyes. The heavy-duty crash bar at the front of the car, with its unmatched kinetic energy, violently crashes into the oncoming horde of zombies. Bang, 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 bang like bowling pins, crashing into a pile of pins, except this time what's scattering isn't pins, but severed limbs and black, tainted blood. Those fragile zombies. In front of the armored vehicle, like a wall of paper, they are instantly crushed and pulverized into mud. The windshield is instantly covered in blood. The wipers swing wildly, scraping out streaks of dark red. Still not enough. There are too many zombies. The dense mass of bodies even begins to impede the wheel's rotation. Chen Sheng violently presses the red button on the center console. Remote weapon station activated. The hatch on the roof flips open, revealing a 12.7mm heavy machine gun and a 35mm automatic grenade launcher extend out. Fire control radar instantly locks onto the high-density targets ahead. The fire spews forth. At this moment, death descends. Large-caliber machine gun bullets, with terrifying kinetic energy, easily tear through the bodies of the zombies. Each bullet can pierce through 3 or 4 zombies, skewer them like sugar gourds and explode them. Humph, humph, humph. The grenade launcher also begins to unleash its power. Explosions erupt in the horde, one after another. Flames soar, limbs fly. The encirclement, originally as tight as an iron barrel, is forcefully torn open by this furious firepower. Roar! The dozens of medium-sized mutated beasts on the periphery finally can't hold back. They move nimbly, stepping on the heads of zombies, approaching the warrior vehicle as if walking on flat ground. They are extremely fast, even dodging the strafing of heavy machine guns. Humph! A mutated beast slammed hard into the side door of the car. The car body shook violently. A shallow scratch was actually left on the hard composite armor. Damn it, these beasts are really strong. Chen Sheng steadied the steering wheel, glanced at the rearview mirror, and saw several more mutated beasts. Trying to jump on the roof, wanting to destroy the weapon station, wanting to dismantle my car. Did you ask the country? Chen Sheng sneered and from his tactical vest took out a few strangely shaped silver spheres. This was a new type of equipment that the intelligence agency had specially stuffed for him before departure. High-frequency electromagnetic pulse concussion bombs. EMPs are designed for these mutated creatures with developed nervous systems. He lowered a bit of the car window gap, pulled the pin, and threw it out smoothly. Enjoy this loud one. 3 grenades drew graceful parabolas in the air and landed precisely in the densest area of the mutated beast swarm. There was no fiery explosion, only a dazzling blue-white light. Immediately afterwards, a circle of air ripples visible to the naked eye spread out. The originally ferocious mutated beasts seemed to have suddenly had their power cut off. They let out shrill screams. Their bodies twitched violently, frothing at the mouth, like kites with broken strings. They fell heavily to the ground. The strong electromagnetic pulse instantly paralyzed their motor nerve centers. Even if it was only for a short 10 seconds, it was enough. Everything was a vast expanse of white. Chen Sheng seized the opportunity and slammed on the accelerator. The car roared and ran over the twitching mutated beasts one by one. The sound of bones breaking rang out from under the car, making one's scalp tingle. Finally, the view ahead was clear. The warrior car was like a mad cow rushing out of its cage, covered in blood and gunpowder smoke, rushing out of this death encirclement. In the rearview mirror, the swarm of corpses in the square was still raging in vain, but they were getting farther and farther away. Chen Sheng breathed a sigh of relief and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. That was close. If I didn't have this car, I would really be done for today. He gently patted the steering wheel, his eyes full of gratitude. Thanks, old buddy. Worthy of being our country's iron lump, so tough. At this moment, he was extremely grateful. With a powerful industrial nation as support behind him, if it were solo combat. Even if he were a king of soldiers, facing the scale of siege, there would only be a dead end. This is the power of industry. This is the victory of the system. Chapter 23, Cautious Retreat. The warrior vehicle stopped under an abandoned overpass. After confirming that the surroundings were temporarily safe, Chen Sheng did not clean the bloodstains on the vehicle body immediately, nor did he check the damage to the vehicle. His gaze was fixed on the passenger seat. There were 2 special shockproof cages placed there, covered with black cloth. This is the core of this mission, and also the answer that countless scientists are eagerly awaiting. Chen Sheng's hands trembled slightly. He took a deep breath, as if to unveil the judgment of fate. Must stay alive, must stay alive, he murmured in his heart, and suddenly lifted the first black cloth. What was locked in the cage was a white rabbit. It lay quietly on its side at the bottom of the cage, its originally snow-white fur still shining. There were no external injuries on its body either. It looked like it was asleep. Chen Sheng stretched out his finger. Passing through the gaps in the cage, he gently touched its body. There was still residual warmth. That was the temperature residue of life, but there was no heartbeat, no breathing. The stiff touch came from his fingertips, making Chen Sheng's heart instantly chilled. Still no good, although the corpse was complete, not like last time. Being cut into pieces by space, but this still meant the transfer failed. The white rabbit's brain nerves seemed to have suffered a devastating blow in the instant of crossing, directly causing brain death. Chen Sheng bit his lip and turned his gaze to the second cage, which was the last hope. If even this white mouse died, it would mean that live teleportation was still a dead end that cannot be overcome. The country's development plan will be postponed indefinitely. Even he, Chen Sheng, may become a ghost forever traveling alone between 2 worlds. He trembled and lifted the second black cloth. The light in the cage was a little dim. In the corner, there was a small, grayish lump, curled up in a ball, motionless. Chen Sheng's heart suddenly clenched. A feeling of despair surged into his heart. It's dead too. He reluctantly extended his finger and gently flicked the cage. Ding! A crisp metallic sound rang out. The next second, a miracle happened. That small, grayish lump suddenly moved. Then a pink little paw stretched out and scratched its ear. That little white mouse slowly raised its head. 2 small, black bean-like eyes looked at Chen Sheng somewhat dazedly. Its body trembled slightly, and it let out a weak cry. Although it looked listless, although it was a little unsteady, it was alive. It was not only alive, but also moving. Still crying. Holy crap! At this moment, the cheers Chen Sheng erupted with were even louder than when he had just rushed out of the zombie horde. He was so excited that he almost picked up the cage and kissed it. Alive! It's alive! We succeeded! We succeeded! Chen Sheng frantically rummaged through his backpack for a bottle of pure water and some breadcrumbs. Carefully put them into the cage. Eat quickly. Eat more, you little guy. You're a national treasure now. You're more precious than a giant panda. The little white mouse sniffed the food and began to nibble slowly. Watching this scene, Chen Sheng's eyes were a little wet. This little mouse proved that the reckless rules could be broken, as long as there were enough black crystals. As long as the energy is strong enough, live teleportation will no longer be a forbidden zone. This means that someday in the future, maybe comrades can come and support him. Maybe he can bring the survivors of this world back to Earth. The barrier between the 2 worlds had finally been pried open a real crack. Calming his excited heart, Chen Sheng started the Mengsher vehicle again, following the route in his memory. He shuttled through the ruined city. Although most of the roads were destroyed, thanks to the Mengsher vehicle's powerful off-road capabilities, he still approached Mu Nan's hiding place before dark. In order not to attract attention, Chen Sheng drove the car into a hidden, underground parking lot, using a few discarded billboards and dust cloths to thoroughly camouflage the car. Carrying only a huge tactical backpack and holding the white rat's cage in his hand, he walked towards that familiar subway station entrance. A rhythmic knocking sound rang on the iron gate. It was the code agreed upon between him and Mu Nan. After a moment, the iron gate slowly opened. Mu Nan stood at the door, still holding that energy pistol in his hand, cautiously looking outside. When he saw it was Chen Sheng, a clear glimmer flashed in his heterochromatic pupils, but he quickly concealed it. I thought you were dead. Mu Nan held the gun, and his expression was still cold, but the corners of his mouth turned up slightly. I said I would come back. Chen Sheng smiled and walked into the shelter. The 2 stood face to face. The air suddenly became a little quiet, even a little awkward. The last time he left, that sudden kiss and Chen Sheng's embarrassed state of being sucked into the restart had become an unspoken secret between the 2. Hi. Chen Sheng took the initiative to break the silence. Here. He took out a box of neural connection translation capsules from his pocket. Mu Nan took the capsule, skillfully took one out, and handed it to Chen Sheng. The 2 swallowed them with great understanding. As that familiar sense of listening spread through their minds, the language barrier disappeared again. How have you been these past few days? Chen Sheng asked, looking for something to say, while unloading his heavy backpack. Same as usual. Mu Nan leaned against the workbench, arms crossed, his eyes sweeping over Chen Sheng. After confirming that he had all his limbs, he said seemingly casually, "Repair the equipment, kill some zombies, then wait for you to bring food back. One last thing." His voice obviously became quieter, and a faint blush flashed across his cheeks. "Don't worry, there's plenty this time." Chen Sheng unzipped his backpack, rustling sound. Piles of colorful packaging bags, recognizable as instant noodles, sausages, and canned goods. Chocolate, self-heating rice, these industrial foods that are readily available on Earth, are priceless delicacies in this world. Mu Nan's eyes instantly lit up. He couldn't maintain his aloof persona any longer and pounced like a gluttonous kitten, picking up a bag of potato chips and examining it from left to right. "What did you say this was?" "This is what you said is even better than instant noodles. Those are potato chips, crispy and very fragrant," Chen Sheng explained with a smile. The two organized the supplies while chatting casually. Although it was a bit awkward, the warmth of a reunion after a long separation slowly flowed in this cold basement. The 24th extremely detailed quantum communication blueprint. Just then, Mu Nan noticed the cage placed in the corner of the table. "What is this?" He leaned closer to take a look. His eyes widened. A rat, a live rat. In this post-apocalyptic world severely affected by radiation pollution, most creatures have mutated. Like this one that retains its original form, and is such a clean white mouse it's rarer than a dinosaur. "Can this thing be eaten?" Mu Nan turned his head and looked at Chen Sheng with anticipation. "I heard that people used to like to eat grilled field mice. The taste is very good." Chen Sheng's mouth twitched. "Is this girl's head only filled with food? This absolutely cannot be eaten." Chen Sheng quickly shielded the cage behind him, looking serious. "This is my treasure. It's used for experiments. And it's a white mouse, specially used for scientific research. Vitamin doesn't taste good." Hearing that it couldn't be eaten, the light in Mu Nan's eyes dimmed instantly, looking a bit aggrieved. "Okay then, since it can't be eaten, then let's keep it." He poked the cage with his finger, looking at the trembling little white mouse inside and thinking, "Consider yourself lucky to have met a master who doesn't eat rats." Chen Sheng breathed a sigh of relief. To divert Mu Nan's attention, he sent out the ultimate weapon. "Mu Nan, remember what I promised you last time?" Chen Sheng took out a red square box from the bottom of his backpack. "Self-heating hot pot." Hearing these 4 words, Mu Nan's eyes lit up again instantly. 100 times brighter than when she saw the mouse just now. The spicy and savory aroma of the hot pot was truly captivating. Once again, it conquered this simple basement. Mu Nan couldn't wait to pick up a lotus root slice and put it in his mouth. Snap! The crisp, refreshing texture mixed with the rich soup. It exploded in his mouth instantly. Mu Nan closed his eyes, a ridiculously exaggerated expression of happiness on his face. "This is so delicious. Is this the feeling of being alive?" He ate heartily, completely disregarding his image. His lips were red with spice, but he couldn't stop at all. Chen Sheng looked at his satisfied appearance, his heart also filled with a sense of accomplishment. In this desperate world, being able to bring joy to someone with a meal is a kind of healing in itself. However, happiness is always fleeting. Now that he was full, it was time to talk business. Chen Sheng put down his chopsticks. His expression became serious. "Mu Nan, the reason I came this time, besides bringing food, there's also a very important thing. I want to find something." "What?" Mu Nan was still savoring the deliciousness of the hot pot and asked casually. "A quantum cluster communication signal transmitting device," Chen Sheng said, "one word at a time, or something similar. Equipment capable of long-distance, high-intensity signal transmission." Mu Nan was stunned. He put down the cola in his hand, his eyes becoming a little strange. "What do you need that for?" "I have a use for it." The air in the basement, because of Chen Sheng's question, froze for a few seconds. Mu Nan wiped the red oil from the corner of his mouth, his eyes becoming deep and complex. "A signal transmitting device. This used to be a strategic material." He stood up. He walked to the rows of shelves filled with old parts, his fingers lightly brushing across the cold metal. After the disaster broke out, the global communication network has long been paralyzed. Most of the base stations have been destroyed, and satellites have become space junk. The level of equipment you're looking for, I definitely don't have it here. Chen Sheng's heart sank. Although he had expected it, he was still inevitably disappointed. However, Mu Nan changed the subject, turned around and looked at Chen Sheng. "I once saw in a dilapidated city archive that there is a science and technology museum in the center of the city. There was once an old communication prototype machine exhibited there, which was eliminated more than 100 years ago. Speaking of this, Mu Nan paused, his tone a bit emotional. Although it is an antique from 100 years ago, at that time it had already reached the lowest singularity communication standard, the lowest singularity. Chen Sheng keenly captured. This unfamiliar word, what does that mean? Mu Nan found an electronic board and drew a simple spiral information diagram on it. Let me give you an example. Do you know galaxies? Chen Sheng nodded. In our view of the universe, a galaxy is a huge collection of star systems, and the so-called lowest singularity communication refers to the strength and penetration of the signal, enough to cover a galaxy as large as the solar system. Even in an apocalyptic environment full of radiation interference, its effective transmission distance is enough to penetrate the atmosphere. This is the technology that defines miracles. Earth's current quantum communication is still in its early stages. If we can get this prototype, even if it's just wreckage and blueprints, it can make Earth's communication technology leap in quality. This is the key to whether the fourth cataclysm plan can be implemented. If we can send the Earth signal over, then tens of millions of players can control the robot army to descend. Chen Sheng stood up excitedly and pressed Mu Nan's shoulders with both hands. Take me there, I must get it. However, facing Chen Sheng's enthusiastic request, Mu Nan coldly slapped his hand away. Not going. The refusal was straightforward, without any room for maneuver. Why? Chen Sheng became anxious. Because that's courting death. Mu Nan sat back in the chair, picked up the unfinished bottle of cola again, and said calmly, as if saying, the weather is nice today. Do you know where the Science and Technology Museum is? Downtown. Do you know whose territory that is? Mu Nan held out 2 fingers. Level 2 zombies, and not just 1 or 2 but hundreds or thousands. Those things are much stronger than the average zombies you encounter outside. Their skin is hardened like steel plates, they're as fast as cheetahs, and some have even evolved the ability to spew acid or bone spurs. Besides them, there are also alien beast lords entrenched there. Just the 2 of us aren't even enough to fill their teeth. Mu Nan shook his head. His eyes were full of warning and technological management. There are many well-preserved pre-war supplies, so it is also a place where survivors most like to flee through in this world. Sometimes living people are scarier than zombies. It's not worth risking your life for a few broken parts. Chen Sheng was silent. He knew that what Mu Nan said was true, but he had no way out. His motherland behind him was waiting for him. Countless scientists are working hard through the night. The entire fourth Calamity plan is stuck on this link. If he doesn't go all out, what face will he have to return? Chen Sheng took a deep breath. He took out his last trump card from his backpack. It was a packet of White Rabbit creamy candy that he had specially saved, and a can of luncheon meat. He gently placed these 2 items in front of Mu Nan. I know it's very dangerous. I don't want you to take the risk either. So, you just need to help me draw a detailed map, mark the approximate location, and the safe routes. I'll go myself for the rest. These are thank you gifts. Mu Nan looked at the White Rabbit creamy candy on the table, and then looked at Chen Sheng's firm eyes. What kind of eyes were those? Bright, burning, full of some kind of character he couldn't understand. Willing to risk his life for a bunch of broken machines? Is this the obsession of that Chinese man? Mu Nan's heart was struggling fiercely. Li Ji told him, refuse him. Let him give up. This is for his own good. But his gaze fell again on that can of luncheon meat. That's meat. Real meat, and if this man really dies at the Science and Technology Museum, who will bring him hot pot? Who will bring him Coke? This isn't just about food, it's about a long-term meal ticket. Mu Nan sighed deeply. Somewhat agitated, he scratched his short silver hair. I'm really beaten by you. He grabbed a piece of milk candy from the table, tore open the wrapper, and stuffed it into his mouth. The rich milky aroma instantly soothed his anxious mood. I'll draw the map for you, but Mu Nan raised his head, his eyes becoming lively. I want to go too. You want to go? Chen Sheng was a little surprised. Nonsense. Mu Nan glared at him. With your skills, even with that armored vehicle, going in there is just delivering food. I'm more familiar with that place, and my mechanical arm can crack the security system there. Most importantly, he snorted somewhat proudly, if you die, who will I get my hot pot from next week? Chen Sheng was stunned for a moment, then a bright smile appeared. Deal. Next week, hot pot is on the house. Chapter 25. For the hot pot, for the country. With a decision made, the 2 didn't rush to leave immediately. In this world, reckless people have grass 3 meters high on their graves. For the entire next day, the underground shelter became a temporary tactical command center. Mu Nan pulled out all of his previously collected information about the Science and Technology Museum. A holographic projection map floated on the workstation. densely marked with red dots and green lines. This is the main entrance. Absolutely do not go this way. Mu Nan pointed to a large red area on the map. At least 500 zombies are gathered here, and the terrain is open. Once surrounded, it's impossible to escape. We're going this way. His finger drew toward an inconspicuous ventilation shaft on the side. This is the old freight passage, connecting to the underground drainage system. It's a little dirty, but relatively safe. Chen Sheng carefully noted every detail. He not only needed to plan the route, but also prepare equipment. He disassembled the heavy machine gun from the warrior vehicle. Using the tools in Mu Nan's studio, he modified it into a man-portable, heavy fire support platform. Mu Nan then upgraded his robotic arm. He removed several high-energy batteries and fully charged his energy cannon. At the same time, he also created some simple trap devices and smoke grenades. These smoke grenades are filled with concentrated blood plasma scent and odor, Mu Nan explained. Throwing them out at crucial moments can attract the surrounding zombies, giving us time to escape. The two cooperated tacitly, like longtime comrades in arms. This day, though busy, gave Chen Sheng a long-lost sense of security. On the third morning, a gray mist enveloped the city. Chen Sheng and Mu Nan, fully armed, quietly approached the outer area of the Science and Technology Museum. This time it was reconnaissance. The purpose was to confirm the distribution of these zombies. And easily defended positions. The two lay prone on the top floor of an abandoned building, using binoculars to observe the Science and Technology Museum 2 kilometers away. It was a huge spherical building. Once perhaps full of futuristic feel, now it looks like a damaged eyeball, staring intently at the globe. The surface of the building was covered with huge ivy, the black leaves swaying in the wind, like countless ghostly hands. Just then, bang, bang, bang. A burst of intense gunfire came from the direction of the Science and Technology Museum's plaza. Someone. Chen Sheng adjusted the focus of the binoculars. He saw 3 survivors wearing ragged exoskeletal armor, standing back to back, forming a defensive triangle, desperately trying to break through. The weapons in their hands were very advanced, firing blue energy beams, each strike able to turn ordinary zombies into ashes. They are scavengers, Mu Nan said in a low voice. They are also here to find things. However, their situation is not optimistic. Several tall figures suddenly rushed out from the horde of zombies. Those were level 2 zombies. Their height is close to 3 meters. Their whole bodies are knotted with muscle, and their skin is a metallic blue-gray. Alright, a tier 2 zombie is taking energy beam fire head-on. It forcefully charged in front of the survivor. The energy beam hit its chest, only scorching a layer of skin. It simply couldn't penetrate that hardened keratin layer. Before a survivor could reload, the tier 2 zombie grabbed him. That terrifying power instantly deformed the exoskeleton armor with a snap, accompanied by a sickening sound of cracking bones. That survivor was torn in half like a rag doll. Blood rained down like a storm. The remaining 2 survivors were scared out of their minds. Their formation instantly collapsed, but they couldn't outrun those monsters at all. In less than a minute, this well-equipped squad was completely annihilated. Chen Sheng lowered his binoculars. His palms were covered in cold sweat. This is the strength of a tier 2 zombie. Even energy weapons can't penetrate them. Then isn't his Type 95 rifle just like a fire poker? Did you see that? Mu Nan's voice was a bit heavy. This is what we have to face. Their weak points are only the back of the head and the eyes. Mu Nan's other areas are almost impervious to blades and bullets. Chen Sheng took a deep breath, suppressing the shock in his heart. I saw. But the more it is like this, the more it shows that the things inside haven't been taken yet. Not only did his gaze not retreat, but it became even sharper. Can we blow up that tier 2 zombie? Mu Nan was stunned for a moment. High explosive grenades should work, but it has to be a precise hit. That's easy. Chen Sheng clenched his fists. Tomorrow we'll go and meet these big guys. Day 4, the moment of fate arrives. Before dawn, the two were already ready, checking their equipment. Ammunition is sufficient, neural response is normal. Mu Nan straddled a stylishly exaggerated heavy motorcycle. This is his ride, a modified magnetic swirl B motorcycle. Although it's not as tough as a Mengsher vehicle, it excels in speed and high flexibility. Chen Sheng, remember our plan. Mu Nan put on his helmet. His voice came through the communication channel. You're in charge of clearing the way and drawing fire. I'm in charge of sneaking in to get the stuff. Leave immediately after getting the thing. Never be greedy for battle. Understood. Chen Sheng sat in the driver's seat of the warrior vehicle, his palm clutching the cage with the white mouse. He must carry it with him. This is the most important luck. Let's go. With the roar of the engine, 2 streaks of lightning, one black and one silver, rushed out of the underground garage entrance. Scattered zombies on the street were attracted by the sound of the vehicle before they could even turn around. They were hit and sent flying. They were like two sharp knives piercing straight into the city center. The closer they got to the Science and Technology Museum, the denser the zombies became. Now's the time. Looking at the dense horde of corpses ahead, Chen Sheng roared. The grenade launcher on the roof of the warrior vehicle began to roar, and the explosion opened a bloody path. Chen Sheng did not rush directly to the main entrance. Instead, he turned the steering wheel sharply, leading a large group of zombies around to the side of the square. "You sons of bitches. Grandpa's here." He honked the horn frantically and even turned on the powerful searchlight on the roof. This extremely arrogant behavior instantly angered all the monsters in the square. Even those greasy level 2 zombies were attracted and began to chase the warrior vehicle with heavy steps. Mu Nan, the opportunity is here. Most of the firepower was diverted by Chen Sheng. Mu Nan drove the motorcycle like a silver ghost, rushing out of the shadows on the side. He used the motorcycle's high mobility to move around in the ruins. Avoiding a few stray beasts, I headed straight for the hidden freight entrance and went inside. Mu Nan's risky and rapid voice came from the communicator. "Be careful," Chen Sheng responded, while also dealing with the pursuers behind him. A level 2 zombie caught up and punched the trunk of the warrior vehicle. With a bang, the several-ton vehicle was actually knocked sideways by half a meter. "Damn it, that's really strong." Chen Sheng didn't dare to be careless. He threw a high-explosive grenade backhand. The grenade exploded at the feet of the level 2 zombie. Although it didn't kill him, the huge impact flipped him over. Chen Sheng took the opportunity to accelerate and pull away. He circled around the square, not only dodging attacks but also constantly monitoring Mu Nan's movements. This was a feeling of dancing on the tip of a knife. Every second felt like an eternity. 10 minutes passed. 20 minutes passed. Only static crackled through the communication channel. Chen Sheng's heart began to sink. "Mu Nan." "Copy," respond. Mu Nan, he was about to lose control and rush in when his hand, whoosh, haha, got it. Mu Nan's voice finally rang out. With violent static and the dense sound of gunfire in the background, "I got the blueprints and core components. But I triggered the alarm. It's full of those things inside. Come pick me up. I'm holding out at the side door." Chen Sheng's eyes turned red. He abruptly turned the car around, no longer dodging. Instead, like a mad bull, he charged towards the side door of the Science and Technology Museum. "Open up for me." The door was tightly shut. The warrior vehicle crashed at full speed. Rumble. The heavy metal door was forcibly rammed open. Mu Nan was seen leaning against the wall, holding an energy gun in one hand. He was firing frantically. In front of him were 3 giant level 2 zombies. They were closing in step by step. "Get in the car." Chen Sheng executed a beautiful tail flick, aligning the passenger door with Mu Nan. Mu Nan didn't hesitate at all. With a flying roll, he jumped into the car. "Go!" he shouted, tightly holding a black metal box. Inside it contained the hope of 2 worlds. Chen Sheng floored the accelerator. The warrior roared, bursting out of the encirclement. Behind them were the roars and impotent howls of countless monsters. The wind whistled in their ears. The two looked at each other and saw the relief after surviving a disaster, and that hint of crazy joy in each other's eyes. "We did it." Chen Sheng's hand gripping the steering wheel was trembling slightly. "Yes, we did it." Mu Nan wiped the blood from his face, revealing a brilliant smile. "For Hot Pot, for the nation." Chapter 26, Eternal Heart. Pause. Inside the underground shelter, dim, yellowish lights shone on the walls, casting mottled shadows. The air was filled with the mixed smell of oil and old metal. Chen Sheng sat in front of the workbench, holding that, only the size of a palm, the metal ring. His hand was trembling slightly, not from fear, but from excitement, the kind of physiological trembling after witnessing a miracle. The ring has a deep silver-gray color with no seams on the surface. It seems to be made of some kind of liquid metal in one piece. In the center of the ring, there is a faint blue light slowly flowing, like a trapped starfish. This is the core component. Chen Sheng's voice was a little hoarse. He raised his head. Looking at Mu Nan sitting opposite him, Mu Nan was wiping a tool in his hand with a clean flannel cloth. When Yen nodded, "That's right." He put down the tool and walked to Chen Sheng, gently tapping the ring with his fingertip. "This is a wireless loop and reaction ring codenamed Eternal Star. It is that Starship class communication device's energy source." Chen Sheng took a deep breath, feeling the sensation from his fingertips. Slight warmth. "How much energy does it have?" Mu Nan shrugged. "This is not just a battery, it is a miniature, mobile, nearly limitless nuclear power plant." Chen Sheng's brain started working rapidly. If this thing is brought back to Earth, the global energy crisis will be completely resolved. Humans will no longer need to mine frequently. Electromagnetic cannons, laser weapons, this is not just a capacity battery. 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 This is not just a battery. On this day, bringing these batteries back to Earth will completely solve the global energy crisis. Humans will no longer need to mine frequently. Electromagnetic cannons and laser weapons will have unlimited ammunition. Even future moon landing plans, Mars plans, will be completed ahead of schedule because of this small ring. Baby, this is truly priceless. Chen Sheng carefully put the ring into a specially made, the protective gear fit. His movements were gentle, like caressing the cheek of a first love in amber. With him, this plan has become completely complicated. Chen Sheng silently calculated in his heart that this adventure, even if it was almost for the zombies, was worth it, so worth it. Chen Sheng silently calculated in his heart that this adventure, even if it was almost for the zombies, was worth it, so worth it. After finishing the business, someone's stomach began to growl uncontrollably, especially loud in this silent basement. Mu Nan touched her stomach and looked at Chen Sheng a little embarrassed. Her eyes were like those of a kitten waiting to be fed. She licked her lips regretfully. The hot pot was finished yesterday. It's okay, let's change the flavor today. Chen Sheng smiled mysteriously. He took out 2 rectangular boxes from his backpack, with mouth-watering pictures printed on the packaging bag. Bright red slices of meat and emerald green garlic sprouts. What is this? Mu Nan leaned over and twitched her nose. Twice-cooked pork self-heating rice. Chen Sheng tore open the package and operated skillfully. In our hometown, this is called a rice-eating artifact. A dozen minutes later, as the white steam spewed out of the vent gradually subsided, an overbearing aroma instantly unfolded in the basement. It was the complex aroma of oil mixed with fermented soybean paste and sweet bean sauce. After being stimulated by high temperature, the complex aroma was rich and intense. The lips and teeth were so captivating that Mu Nan's throat rolled wildly. Her eyes stared straight at the lunchbox. Let's eat. Chen Sheng uncovered the lid, only to see crystal-clear white rice covered with glistening slices of pork belly. The meat slices were curled into an arch, with alternating layers of fat and lean. The color was bright red, and a few crisp garlic sprouts and red peppers were dotted around it. This is rice. Mu Nan dug a spoonful of white rice with a spoon, not in a hurry to eat the meat. But first observe these white particles. In this world, pure rice is already a legend. Only the leaders of those powerful factions can eat it. Carefully puts it into its mouth. Soft, glutinous, with a sweet aftertaste. That's the most primitive joy brought by carbohydrates. Immediately afterwards, it picks up a piece of twice-cooked pork and bites down. The oil bursts in the mouth, with a charred aroma, salty freshness, and slight spiciness. Multiple flavors build upon each other. Mu Nan's eyes widened, 2 lines of clear tears. These little fish actually flowed from the corner of its eyes. Chen Sheng was startled. What's wrong? Is it too spicy? Mu Nan shook its head desperately, mouth full of food, saying unclearly, No, it's too delicious. The synthetic food I used to eat is simply pig swill. Is this real meat? Is this real rice? It ate large mouthfuls of rice while crying. The way it devoured the food was both funny and heartbreaking. Chen Sheng silently watched it. It gave half of the meat in its bowl to Chen Sheng. Eat slowly, there's plenty. In this bedroom, the collapse of civilization. What sorrow this is. Chen Sheng clenched the spoon in his hand. It strengthened its determination to protect Earth. It must never let China become like this hellish scene. The afternoon sun was a bit glaring, shining through the cracks in the ruins. Onto the ground, the warrior vehicle quietly parked in the corner of the square where it last teleported. Although this place has experienced a bloody battle, the new zombies have not yet filled it in. It is relatively quiet. Chen Sheng sat in the driver's seat and glanced at the tactical watch on his wrist. 2 minutes left. Should he activate it on time? It must be prepared for both possibilities. All the spoils to be taken back this time, and the anti-gravity communication blueprint, have already been packed in the back seat. Several high-quality alien beast crystal cores, and that little white mouse that is still hopping around. Hope it can return. Chen Sheng whispered to himself. Although there is Mu Nan here and high-tech, this is not home after all. The air here is filled with the smell of death. The second hand returns to 0. Chen Sheng subconsciously grips the steering wheel. Holding my breath, 1 second, 2 seconds. 1 minute, 10 minutes. The wind is still blowing. The ruins are still silent. The faint blue light portal behind Chen Sheng did not appear. There's no sign of any spatial fluctuations. Chen Sheng exhaled a long breath. He slumped back in his seat, his mood complex. There's the disappointment of not being able to return. And also a confirmation of his guess. It seems the experts were right, the surge has indeed upgraded. This time it devoured so many black crystals, I guess I'll have to stay here for a few days or even longer. Since I can't go back for the time being, I have to find a way to survive better. Chapter 27. The Market of This World. When he returned to the basement, Mu Nan had just woken up. He rubbed his sleepy eyes and saw Chen Sheng returning with a bag. He didn't show too much surprise. As if he had expected this outcome. He didn't leave. He yawned. Stretching, the tight-fitting combat suit outlined his graceful curves. Chen Sheng put down his backpack and sighed helplessly. It seems I'll have to rely on you for this period of time. The corners of Mu Nan's mouth turned up slightly, revealing an almost imperceptible chuckle. Relying on me is fine, but food expenses are separate. But soon, his expression became serious. He walked up to Chen Sheng and sized him up. Since you're going to be staying, there's a problem that must be solved. What problem? Chen Sheng asked. Mu Nan pointed to the side of his neck. There was a slightly raised patch of skin there. Something seemed to be buried underneath. Identification chip. In this world, survivors are also ranked. People without chips are called savages or meat pigs. If you are discovered by patrol teams from other forces, or want to enter any large settlements to trade, a scanner scans and finds you don't have a chip. Mu Nan made a throat-slitting gesture. At best, you'll be captured and enslaved, at worst, killed on the spot or sent to a lab to be dissected. You've been hiding these past few days and haven't run into them. Consider yourself lucky. But you can't hide in the basement forever. Chen Sheng understood. He had indeed overlooked this issue before, although the social system has collapsed. But a new order, even a deformed one, still exists. If you want to operate here long-term and gather intelligence, collect technology, you must integrate into the system. So what to do? I'll get one too, Chen Sheng asked. Official channels are definitely out. You have no birth record, no genetic profile. Mu Nan turned and walked towards the equipment rack, picked up a black cloak and threw it to Chen Sheng. We can only go to the black market. They sell everything there, including fake identities. Put this on. Cover your face, take your gun, and bring some hard currency. Hard currency? Chen Sheng asked, puzzled. It means food. Mu Nan pointed to the remaining compressed biscuits in Chen Sheng's backpack. This stuff is worth more than gold there. At 2 in the afternoon, 2 motorcycles weaved through the ruins. Mu Nan took Chen Sheng to the sports center in the city center. From a distance, Chen Sheng was shocked by the sight before him. The original Redtail Stadium had now been transformed into a huge military fortress. A 20-meter-high concrete wall surrounded the entire sports center, sealing it off completely. The surface of the wall was covered with electrified barbed wire. On it hung many dried-up zombie corpses, and beneath the wall, countless zombies were aimlessly wandering, yearning for the flesh and blood within the walls, but unable to cross the line. In the sky, several flying alien beasts with wingspans of over 5 meters tried to dive in from the air. Just as they approached above the wall, TCH, several automatic turrets on top of the wall instantly activated. Several red laser beams accurately struck the beasts' wings and heads. The alien beasts let out shrill screams, falling down while emitting black smoke. Before they even landed, they were swarmed by the horde of zombies below and torn to pieces. The defensive power of this wall. Chen Sheng was secretly amazed. If this kind of automatic laser defense system could be brought back to Earth, the defense pressure on the border would be greatly reduced. This way, Mu Nan led Chen Sheng around the main entrance to a hidden passage on the side, which was a dried-up river drainage area. Obviously cleaned, it became the secret entrance to the black market, a shot of the tunnel. It's a heavy riot door with 2 fully armed guards standing at the entrance. They are wearing exoskeleton armor with hydraulic assistance and holding sci-fi-looking electromagnetic pulse rifles. Even the masks on their faces are flashing with red data streams. Seeing Chen Sheng and Mu Nan approaching, the guard immediately raised his gun and said, "Halt! Who are you?" The electronically synthesized voice was cold and intimidating. Mu Nan stepped forward, skillfully showing a tattoo logo on his wrist. Regular customer. Just here to buy something. The guard scanned the tattoo, confirmed it was correct, and lowered his gun. But their gazes quickly fell on Chen Sheng, especially on Chen Sheng's back. That Type 95 assault rifle, that black oily gun body, wooden handguard, and that iconic magazine. In the eyes of these guards, who are used to energy weapons and electromagnetic weapons, it's like a modern man seeing a primitive man holding a stone. One of the guards couldn't help but laugh. "Buddy, where did you steal this gunpowder kinetic weapon, from a museum? Can this thing even penetrate a cockroach's shell?" Another guard also looked playful. "This is too retro. This kind of antique is too short even to be used as firewood. Faced with the ridicule, Chen Sheng remained calm. They didn't explain. Just coldly glanced at the two of them. That murderous aura that came from a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood made the laughter of the two guards stop abruptly. They felt like they were being stared at by a ferocious beast. A chill ran down their spines. "All right, go in." The guard stopped talking nonsense and opened the riot door. Passing through a long corridor, the view in front of them suddenly opened up. The original underground parking lot has been transformed into a huge market. Although it is underground, but it is not as dark and humid as imagined. The ceiling is full of various silver light tubes, illuminating the entire square like daylight. The air is filled with the smell of barbecue, sweat, and alcohol. And the smell of cheap perfume, the noise, the hawking, the bargaining. Rising and falling, fresh mutant flesh, steel kills. Only 2 Fooning batteries, recycle old batteries, high-price recycling. Beauty, take a look at this laser dagger, a great self-defense weapon. This is the territory controlled by the Desolate Army Organization. Although the order is chaotic, it is in this dead city. The only place that still has a bit of life. Chen Sheng walked in the crowd, constantly scanning the surrounding stalls. The things here opened his eyes. There is a biological spray that can stop bleeding instantly. There are night vision contact lenses that can see several kilometers away, and even simple individual flying backpacks. Although most of them are second-hand, or even pieced together defective products, the technical content still shocked Chen Sheng. If he could move everything here, Chen Sheng licked his lips. The greed in his eyes was undisguised. This is not a black market. This is simply Earth's technology. A springboard for takeoff. However, the primary task now is to get an identity. Chapter 28. No, it won't. Mu Nan took Chen Sheng in and came to an inconspicuous little shop in the corner of the black market. The shop's signboard was a neon-lit eye, with the words Old John's Modification Shop written on it. Pushing the door open, a strong smell of disinfectant hit his face. An old man with white hair and multifunctional goggles was tinkering with a mechanical arm. "Old John, there's work to do." Mu Nan knocked on the counter. The old man raised his head, and the mechanical left eye rotated, making a sizzling, focusing sound. "Yo, it's Mu Nan, what are you here to repair this time? Is your arm broken again?" "It's not for repairs." Mu Nan pushed Chen Sheng forward. "Get him an identity chip, a clean one, the kind that can't be traced." Old John looked Chen Sheng up and down, his eyes lingering on his intact skin for a long time. TSK, delicate skin and tender flesh. So old. "Haven't implanted a chip yet. Are you a young master who ran out of the forest?" Although joking, but he didn't delve into it. In this world, don't ask what you shouldn't. Survival is the first rule. Okay, 200 credit points or equivalent supplies. Old John held out 2 withered fingers. Chen Sheng glanced at Mu Nan. Mu Nan nodded. Chen Sheng took out a small package from his pocket and placed it on the counter. It's a compressed biscuit, military grade, high-calorie chocolate flavor. This is potent enough. Old John casually picked up the package. However, when he saw the words on it, and smelled the faint scent of chocolate essence through the package, his hand trembled. This is... He tore open a small opening violently. He took a deep breath. That pure, radiation-free aroma full of sugar and fat made his mechanical eye light up a bit. This is pre-war military rations. And it's so well preserved. In this world, most food is synthetic starch blocks and cheap vegetables. This kind of precious food rich in sugar and calories is a top luxury. Usually only adults dare to eat a bite on their birthday. Enough, more than enough. Old John was like a dog guarding its food. He stuffed the biscuit into his arms, afraid that Chen Sheng would go back on his word. This thing, forget an identity chip, it's enough to exchange for a full-body mechanical modification. His gaze towards Chen Sheng completely changed, from looking at a fat sheep to looking at a god of wealth. "Do it quickly, I'll get it for you right away." The surgery is very simple. Old John took out something similar to an injection gun. He gently pricked the side of Chen Sheng's neck. TSS. A slight pain came. "Done." Old John handed over a mirror. "This is a commoner identity from the Huang Prefecture, number 9527. As long as you don't enter the core area, no one will check you." Identity sorted. Chen Sheng breathed a sigh of relief. The two walked out of the clinic. Mu Nan then took Chen Sheng to a small stall selling electronic products. The boss took out 2 pairs of the latest communication wristband for military use with good encryption. Mu Nan skillfully picked and chose, finally selecting a black, metallic wristband. When paying, Chen Sheng stepped up again. This time he used half a packet of instant Noodles seasoning powder. The owner tasted a bite of the salty powder and was so excited he almost knelt down to Chen Sheng. "This flavor is seafood. I taste the flavor of the ocean." Chen Sheng took the wristband and tried it on. The screen lit up, the interface was simple and clear. This thing can not only make calls, but also provide real-time positioning, and even scan the surrounding vital signs, Mu Nan explained. Its communication range covers the entire city, and it has a built-in relay function. As long as there are other wristbands in the city, the signal will not be interrupted. Chen Sheng was secretly shocked. This is simply a simplified version of a single soldier combat artifact. No satellites, no base stations, self-sufficient. If the special forces are equipped with this, it will be invincible in operations behind enemy lines. Bought. Chen Sheng waved his hand and bought several more pairs, preparing to take them back to the Research Institute for disassembly and research. Just as the two were returning fully loaded and preparing to leave, a group of people blocked their way, guarded by the bald, burly man with a fleshy face was wearing a set of modified heavy power armor, holding a chainsaw sword in his hand and a thick gold chain around his neck, the kind of nouveau riche and bandit combined temperament came head-on. Yo, isn't this the beautiful Mu Nan? The bald, burly man's muddy eyes, like eggs, roamed over Mu Nan's body, exuding a sense of disgusting lasciviousness. I heard you've made a fortune recently. How come you have money to buy things but no money to pay my debt? Mu Nan saw this person. Her face instantly darkened, and she subconsciously gripped the energy gun at her waist. Kuei Lang, I already paid back what I owed you. What you're talking about is the principal. Kuei Lang chuckled, revealing a mouthful of uneven yellow teeth. And then there's Lizzie. Lizzie is something very powerful. But he took a step forward, wanting to reach out and touch Mu Nan's gift. If you're willing to keep me company, brother, this Lizzie, we can pay it off with our bodies. The surrounding lackeys burst into laughter. Whistling, they fanned out, surrounding Chen Sheng and Mu Nan in the middle. This is blatant robbery. In this lawless black market, might makes right. Mu Nan trembled with anger. Dream on. Then don't blame me for not knowing how to cherish a beautiful woman. Kuei Lang's face changed and he waved his hand. Beat the men until they're crippled and throw them out to feed the zombies. Take the women away. And let the brothers have some fun tonight. Just as Kuei Lang's men were about to move, a silent Chen Sheng suddenly took a step forward, standing in front of Mu Nan. He didn't draw his gun, nor did he adopt a fighting stance. His expression was as calm as still water, even with a hint of disdain. Wait, Chen Sheng said calmly, his voice soft but with an undeniable force. Kuei Lang was stunned for a moment, squinting at this country bumpkin of a man. Oh, the pretty boy wants to be a hero and save the damsel in distress? You should take a good look at yourself. Are you even worthy? Chen Sheng ignored his taunts and calmly asked. He said he owes you money. Then I'll ask you how much in total. Make it clear once and for all, and I'll pay it for him. Kuei Lang seemed to have heard a huge joke, and burst out laughing. This kid has a big mouth. All right, you want to pay? Kuei Lang stretched out a hand and said fiercely, 5,000 credit points or 50 kilograms of lean meat. Can you come up with it? If you can't, then get out of here. This is an astronomical price. An average survivor would risk their life to earn it in a year. They might not be able to save up this much either. The surrounding crowd also whispered. This kid is done for showing off. Mu Nan is in trouble now. Being targeted by Hui Lang, even if he doesn't die, he'll lose a layer of skin. However, this time's pure food, I'll take it all. Hui Lang said disdainfully. He doesn't believe it at all, that this kid can produce it. Good. Wait and see. Chen Sheng turned around and quickly walked out of the crowd. Haha, he ran. Just as I thought, a coward. Leaving the woman and running away himself. What a man! The crowd erupted in bursts of laughter. Mu Nan's face also turned pale. He looked at Chen Sheng's departing figure, his heart sinking to the bottom. Could it be that he really ran? No, he wouldn't. Chapter 29, Mad Greed, The Pursuit of the Steel Red Willow. However, only 2 minutes passed and that familiar figure returned again. Chen Sheng not only came back, but also had a white woven bag on his shoulder. That was one of the supplies he regularly kept. In the back of the warrior vehicle, a 10-kilogram bag of wuchang rice. Chen Sheng swaggered up to Hui Lang. Thump, he slammed the bag of rice heavily on the ground next to Hui Lang's feet. Dust flew. This is 10 kilograms of pure rice, still unopened. Is it enough? The whole place was silent. Everyone's eyes were fixed on that bag. The 4 Chinese characters wuchang rice printed on the bag. Although they didn't recognize them, the white grains exposed in the transparent window deeply stung everyone's eyes. That was real plump, pearl-like white rice. In this world, where could you find? This is clearly white gold, it's diamonds. Kuei Lang's laughter got stuck in his throat. He trembled and squatted down, using the tip of his nose to tear open the bag, spending. Snow-white rice flowed out. He grabbed a handful and took a deep sniff under his nose. That fresh rice fragrance instantly shattered all his psychological defenses. It's real, it's real. Kuei Lang's hands are moving. This 10 kilograms of rice, if it is auctioned off in the upper district, it can be exchanged for at least tens of thousands of credit points, or even a more advanced evolutionary potion. The surrounding crowd completely went crazy. Greed, extreme shock, countless emotions intertwined in the air. That pretty boy they ridiculed actually threw out a gold mine casually. Where did this rich man come from? Chen Sheng ignored those gazes that were about to burn. He grabbed Mu Nan's hand, who was still in a daze. Let's go. Mu Nan was dragged by him, staggering out. Are you crazy? Mu Nan finally reacted. Her voice was trembling. You revealed the rice, we will die. We can't leave without revealing it either. Chen Sheng said calmly, take advantage of their shock. Run quickly. The two rushed out of the black market and jumped onto the warrior car and motorcycle parked in a hidden place. Boom! The engine roared. Just as they rushed out of the gate of the sports center, from behind came Kuei Lang's furious voice. Chase them! Grab that kid! He is a fat sheep, a super fat sheep. He must have more good things on him. Kuei Lang reacted. Someone who can throw out 10 kilograms of rice casually is definitely a walking treasure trove. No, dozens of modified off-road vehicles and motorcycles, like a pack of hunting dogs that smelled blood, rushed out of the sports center, smoke billowing, murderous. A life and death chase unfolded in this ruined city. Chen Sheng glanced at the billowing smoke in the rearview mirror, but a cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Want to chase me? Then let's see if it's your scrap metal or my China warrior that's tougher. It slammed the steering wheel, and the warrior vehicle crashed through a broken wall and rushed into a narrow alley. Accelerating, the warrior vehicle started, the engine roaring. That was the wail of the mechanical structure's limit. The body of the Warrior 3 shook violently, every part bearing pressure exceeding the design standard. Chen Sheng gripped the steering wheel, his eyes fixed on the front. In the rearview mirror, smoke and dust billowed. Dozens of modified Moon Eye vehicles and hover bikes like mad dogs were chasing closely behind. The machine gun turret on the roof kept spitting fire backward. But on the bumpy road, the hit rate was really touching. The car in front. Stop immediately, hand over the supplies, and I'll spare your life. From the communicator came Kuei Lang's furious roar, mixed with the static of the current. Sounded particularly harsh. Screw your dad. Chen Sheng spat. Suddenly turned the steering wheel to the right, the car body almost sideways drifted through a sharp turn. Shoo, humph. A crimson laser beam streaked past the left side of the warrior vehicle and hit an abandoned building on the side of the road. The concrete wall instantly melted a big hole. The steel bars were burned red and dripped like candles. This is a laser weapon. Chen Sheng glanced at the rearview mirror, still shaken. This kind of high-energy directed energy weapon has no trajectory, it hits wherever it points. If it wasn't for the extreme driving skills he had developed on Earth, the warrior vehicle would have become scrap metal long ago. Since you like playing with energy weapons so much, then taste this. Chen Sheng controlled the steering wheel with one hand, and with the other, took out 2 electromagnetic pulse grenades from his tactical vest. Pull the pin. 3 seconds. Go. He threw 2 grenades out of the car window, detonating in the air directly above the pursuing vehicle team. Crackling. Blue-white arcs of electricity erupted instantly, like thunder snakes dancing wildly. However, a scene that made Chen Sheng's eyeballs almost pop out happened. Those pursuing vehicles did not stall and shut down as expected. The electromagnetic pulse struck the shield, only stirring up ripples before disappearing without a trace. Damn it, Chen Sheng couldn't help but curse. An energy shield? These bandits actually have this kind of black technology. He frantically stepped on the accelerator while loudly questioning Mu Nan, who was sitting in the passenger seat. Big sister, aren't you being a bit unfair? Such important information. Why didn't you say so earlier? This thing can even block electromagnetic pulses. While shooting backwards with her energy gun, Mu Nan blinked innocently. You didn't ask me. Besides, this is a new toy that Grimm recently equipped, called Absolute Territory Type A. It's a single-soldier shield generator. Although it's the vehicle version, the principle is the same. It's specifically used to defend against energy impacts and physical ammunition. Chen Sheng felt a wave of toothache. So, you won't say anything if I don't ask? Stop talking nonsense, how do we break through? If this continues, my car will be smashed. The rear armor plate of the Raptor car has already been burned with potholes by lasers. The alarm lights are flashing like in a disco. Mu Nan glanced at the gray wolf vehicle closely chasing behind, which was a heavily modified hover car. The shield is also the latest model. This is a bit troublesome. Mu Nan put away her gun. Her left hand suddenly pressed on the mechanical arm of her right hand. With a click and precise mechanical meshing sound, a small clasp popped open on the wrist of the mechanical arm. A uniquely shaped, black dart in the shape of a triangular pyramid popped out. The surface of the dart was covered with complex golden patterns, flashing with a dangerous light. Watch carefully. Mu Nan took a deep breath. A cold glint flashed in her eyes. She suddenly leaned out of the car window and was instantly pulled back. The hydraulic cylinder inside the mechanical arm released air, erupting with tremendous kinetic energy. Go! The black dart streaked across a light that the naked eye couldn't capture, heading straight for the front of the gray wolf's car. Crisp, even somewhat piercing metallic collision sound rang out. The dart was not bounced off by the shield. On the contrary, it was like a hot knife cutting through butter, actually piercing directly through that layer of light blue membrane. Then it plunged fiercely into the center of the hovercraft's front cover. Wow! The originally stable blue shield suddenly began to tremble violently. Then it was like a faulty light bulb, flickering a few times before going out completely. 30th, the matter of the Wasteland organization now. Blast it! Mu Nan shouted loudly. Without needing her reminder, Chen Sheng had already pressed the launch button for the machine gun turret. Da-da-da-da. Without the protection of the shield, that hovercraft instantly turned into a burning wreck. The 12.7mm armor-piercing rounds easily tore through its shell. Humph! The front of Hui Lang's vehicle instantly caught fire, emitting thick black smoke. Forced to slow down and stop on the roadside, the other pursuing vehicles, seeing their boss being stopped, also hurriedly slowed down and yielded. Good opportunity. Chen Sheng floored the accelerator. The Mengsher vehicle, with a gust of wind, quickly widened the distance and disappeared into the intricate ruins of the streets. Hui Lang crawled out of the smoking vehicle, his face covered in soot, disheveled. He watched the Mengsher vehicle speeding away, trembling with anger. Useless. All useless. He drew the laser pistol from his waist and aimed at a subordinate next to him who didn't manage to stop in time. One shot, the bullet instantly burned through the subordinate's head, and he fell to the ground dead. The surrounding henchmen were trembling with fear, not daring to breathe loudly. Find them for me. Dig 3 feet into the ground. And find that pair of bastards for me. That bag of rice. And the equipment on that man. I want them all. In Tiangang's eyes burned the flames of greed and madness. He knew that this was not just a personal grudge. That bag of rice meant great wealth and might even mean whether his position in the wasteland could advance further. Go. Return to the base. Get back on a working motorcycle, turn the vehicle around. This matter is too big. He must report it to his superiors. On the other side of the city, inside a fortress transformed from an abandoned military base, in front of a huge holographic sand table. Standing there was a middle-aged man in a dark red military uniform. His face had a scar across the bridge of his nose, making him look particularly righteous. This person was the number 3 figure in Huang County. Major Rosen. What did you say? Rosen turned around, staring intently at Kuei, who was kneeling on the ground. His voice was low and raspy, like 2 rusty pieces of iron scraping together. 10 kilograms of pure rice? Yes, sir. Kuei quickly lowered his head, not daring to look Rosen in the eye. Absolutely true. He took it out at the black market. Many people saw it, and that man was driving an armored vehicle that has never been seen before. The firepower was very strong. Even our shields were broken. Rosen narrowed his eyes, tapping his fingers lightly on the table. Interesting. In this wasteland, the only ones who can produce so much pure food are those few large settlements, or those legendary pilot garden immigrants. If we can catch this fat sheep and force him to reveal the source of his food. A chilling red light flashed in Rosen's eyes. It was an extreme desire for power and resources. Go. Take me to see the commander. This matter is beyond his handling. 10 minutes later, deep inside the base in an extremely luxurious room, the highest commander of Huang Army, Xia Ho-che, was sitting on a sofa covered with a tiger skin, shaking a glass of murky red wine in his hand. He was an old man who looked very refined, with gray hair and gold-rimmed glasses, but everyone knew that he was the most cruel and cold-blooded person in this city. After listening to Rosen's report, Xia Ho-che was not as excited as Rosen. He still elegantly took a sip of wine, his eyes as calm as water. 10 kilograms of rice? He chuckled lightly, putting down his wine glass. Your vision is still too shallow. A person who can casually take out 10 kilograms of rice, does he only have rice in his hand? It may have seeds, clean water equipment, and even a complete ecological cycle. Go downstairs, evacuate the station, stand up and walk to the floor-to-ceiling windows, covering this dead city. That is the cornerstone of rebuilding civilization and the last piece of the puzzle for us, Huang army, to dominate this wasteland. It suddenly turned around, and the refined temperament disappeared instantly, replaced by a suffocating sense of oppression. Pass my order, search the entire city. Deploy all drones to block all entrances and exits, even if it means turning this city upside down. I want that man captured alive. Anyone who dares to embezzle even a centimeter of profit, I will throw them into the corpse pit to feed the dogs. Yes. Rosen and Quinn responded in unison, their eyes full of fanaticism. At the same time, at Mu Nan's residence, the atmosphere was so heavy it felt like it would drip water. Chen Sheng and Mu Nan were packing supplies as quickly as possible. Although they escaped this time, they were both clear that this place may have already been exposed. Huang army's revenge will soon come like a storm. This place is done for. Mu Nan sighed as he stuffed energy bars into his backpack. Huang army, that guy is like a dog. Li Xilinx. As long as we showed our faces in the black market, it's only a matter of time before they follow the clues and find this place. Chen Sheng was disassembling the simple generator. Hearing this, he nodded. It was my carelessness. I shouldn't have been so high profile. No, that couldn't be helped. Mu Nan shook his head. If we hadn't taken out that thing, we wouldn't have been able to get out of the black market at all. But Chen Sheng stopped the movement in his hand, his eyes becoming sharp. Since we've already made an enemy, we have to find a way to solve it. Mu Nan, tell me about this Huang army. How many trump cards do they have? Mu Nan thought for a moment and selected a set of data. Huang army is the largest armed force in this area. The core combat personnel are about 220 people, all gene-enhanced, or mechanically modified veterans. Their equipment is very sophisticated, with about 300 laser rifles, 5 heavy energy cannons, and 10 armored vehicles with shields. There are also dozens of hovering motorcycles that can fly at low altitudes. Listening to this data, Chen Sheng's brows furrowed even more tightly. More than 200 enhanced soldiers plus energy weapons. And shield vehicles, this strength is simply an enhanced version of a special type. Just relying on him alone. This time, the big bosses report, see if the Earth side can provide any targeted weapons. Even if they can get a few single-soldier thermobaric bombs or anti-tank missiles, it would be enough for these bastards to suffer. Chapter 31. This is something a probe creature can make. Chen Sheng suddenly remembered something. He took out a black dart that Mu Nan had previously recovered from his pocket. By the way, what's this thing you just used called? How did it instantly break that tortoise shell? Mu Nan wiped the structure dart carefully. It's called Horan. It's a little gadget I developed myself. Speaking of this, a hint of pride flashed across his face. Do you know the principle of an energy shield? It's through a high-frequency magnetic field, constraining ionized plasma to form a high-energy ion membrane. And the tip of this dart is coated with a special antiphase oblique shock coating. When it comes into contact with the shield, it will release an oscillating hoop with a frequency completely opposite to the shield. It's like two opposing currents of water colliding together, which will instantly produce a huge cavitation effect. Although it can only maintain the oscillation for a few seconds, it is enough to burn out the shield generator. Chen Sheng was stunned. Although he didn't quite understand the specific physical principles, he understood the core meaning. This thing is a magical artifact specially designed to counter energy shields. This is too awesome. If you can give me the formula for this coating, I'll take it back and let our scientists study it. Maybe we can create armor-piercing bullets specifically for shields. Mu Nan smiled and handed the dart to Chen Sheng. Here, it's yours. This thing is very troublesome to make. I only have a few of these, but the formula is in my head. When we get to a safe place, I'll write it down for you. After packing everything up, the two embarked on the road of escape again. This time, they didn't choose to stay in the city for long, but instead rushed directly out of the urban area, heading towards the distant wilderness. The city is no longer safe. The wasteland army's eyes and ears are all over every corner. Only that wilderness covered by mutated creatures and radioactive dust is a lawless land. The warrior vehicle bumps along the rugged wilderness. Outside the window are wind-eroded dead trees and the occasional giant creature. Where are we going? Chen Sheng asked. To my brother's place, Mu Nan said, looking out the window. A helpless smile flashed across the corner of her mouth. After a turn, they drove for about an hour. Ahead, there appeared an area surrounded by dense vines and shrubs. Through the gaps in the shrubs, you could vaguely see an old farmhouse. It looked ordinary, even a little desolate. Chen Sheng felt an intuition that made his hair stand on end. Stop the car, Mu Nan said in a low voice. Chen Sheng immediately slammed on the brakes. He carefully observed the surroundings and quickly noticed something was wrong. On the open ground around the courtyard, There were scattered corpses, some of zombies and some of beasts. Moreover, none of them were complete. Some were cut into pieces. Some were charred as if by high-voltage electricity, and others had dense bullet holes all over their bodies. This, Chen Sheng swallowed hard. Is this place a slaughterhouse? What shocked him even more was that on the walls of the courtyard, every few meters, there was a black insect the size of a palm. That is, a miniature drone. And on either side of that seemingly dilapidated wooden door, stood two 3-meter-tall steel giants. They were all black with sharp lines. Their arms were hanging with two 6-barreled Gatling machine guns, and on their backs were two miniature missile launchers. Those cold electronic eyes were flashing red, locking onto the warrior vehicle. This is robots. Chen Sheng's pupils contracted sharply. These kinds of combat robots, in terms of craftsmanship and firepower, far exceeded anything he had seen on Earth. Even more advanced than the Wasteland Army's equipment just now. Is this really something a broken farmhouse would have? Don't be nervous. Mu Nan opened the car door and walked out. She didn't approach. If you dare to move that broken laser cannon, I'll write a big character poster about you wetting the bed when you were a kid. Covered the whole way, silent for a few seconds. The electronic eyes of these two steel giants instantly turned into a gentle green. The insects on the walls also flew up. After circling in the air, they fell back down. Click. The wooden door of the small courtyard slowly opened. Come in. A slightly childish but somewhat lazy boy's voice came from the loudspeaker. Sis, can you change your threatening method next time? This trick has been used 800 times. I'm immune to it. Chen Sheng drove the car carefully into the small courtyard. As he passed the two steel giants, he could even feel the coldness emanating from the icy gun barrels. This robot, Chen Sheng couldn't help but ask, is too strong. Where did you find this product? Mu Nan rolled her eyes. Not found. It was handcrafted from scrap metal by my freak brother. Walking into the shed in the small courtyard, Chen Sheng saw the legendary freak, a boy who looked only 16 or 17 years old, sitting among a pile of messy electronic components. He was wearing a white coat full of oil stains, and his hair was messy like a chicken coop. His face was also wearing multifunctional goggles that were bigger than his face. This is Mu Tianming. Mu Lan introduced, my brother is 16 years old this year. Chen Sheng looked at the thin boy. He couldn't connect him with the terrifying killing machines outside. Hello. Chen Sheng took the initiative to reach out his hand. Mu Tianming didn't shake it. Instead, he pushed his goggles. Those eyes, full of curiosity and scrutiny, were like X-rays, scanning Chen Sheng's body. Bone density is 30% higher than normal. Muscle fiber strength is 3 times that of ordinary people. The index finger of the right hand has thick calluses, indicating long-term use of firearms. And Mu Tianming leaned closer and smelled the scent on Chen Sheng's body. You have a scent on you that doesn't belong to this world. Very clean. No decaying smell of radioactive dust. Chen Sheng was shocked. This kid's observation skills are too keen. Who are you? My sister never brings men home. Mu Shiming crossed his arms and looked at Chen Sheng warily. Don't tell me. You're his kept boy. Chen Sheng almost choked on his saliva. Don't talk nonsense. Mu Nan slapped his younger brother on the back of the head. This is Chen Sheng, my partner, business partner. Mu Tianming rubbed his head, looking disdainful. Come on. With your little wealth, do you still need a partner? His eyes fell on Chen Sheng's Type 95 rifle on the table. This gun. Mu Tianming's eyes lit up, as if he had discovered a new toy. He grabbed the rifle and skillfully disassembled it. The structure is classic, gas-operated automatic principle. But, he frowned, the bore is too small. After speaking, he rummaged through a pile of parts on the table for a while, picked up a crystal the size of a fingernail and found a few coils. His fingers flew, and in just 2 minutes he added the crystal and coil to the bottom of the rifle's barrel. Okay. Mu Tianming threw the gun back to Chen Sheng. I added a simple high-energy particle accelerator to it, although it only has a one-time effect. The penetrating power of this bullet can now penetrate 3 layers of wasteland energy shields. Chen Sheng was completely dumbfounded. Modifying it by hand and adding a particle accelerator to a musket? Could a human being on Earth do this? Chapter 32. Alien or a person from the future? How did you do it? Chen Sheng felt his worldview collapsing. What's so difficult about this? Mu Tianming looked indifferent. I can do it once I've seen the schematic diagram. As for you, although the craftsmanship of this gun is backward, its precision is very high, like a product of an industrialized assembly line. Does your settlement have a complete military-industrial production line? Chen Sheng didn't answer because he was too shocked to speak. In this so-called doomsday where IQ is locked, why was such a monster born? If we bring it back to Earth, wouldn't China's tech tree take off like a rocket? In the following time, Chen Sheng told Mu Tianming about the trouble they encountered. Hearing that his sister had actually provoked Huang Ju, Mu Tianming turned pale with fright. Are you out of your mind? Huang Ju is not someone to be trifled with. They have heavy weapons. It's over, this place is not safe either. Looking at his panicked younger brother, Chen Sheng smiled and took out his last trump card from his backpack. A bucket of braised beef noodles. Don't be afraid, Chen Sheng said while boiling water. As long as you help us improve our equipment, Huang Ju is nothing to be afraid of. The moment the boiling water was poured into the noodle bucket, that familiar and domineering aroma conquered another soul. Mu Tianming twitched his nose twice, his eyes instantly fixed. What is this smell? It's too fragrant. When he took his first sip of hot soup and ate his first bite of noodles, the IQ of this genius teenager instantly dropped to 0. He became a complete foodie, delicious brother. From now on, you are my own brother. What is Huang Ju? Let's take him down. As long as you feed me, I can even build a Gundam for you. Looking at his ravenous younger brother, Chen Sheng and Mu Nan exchanged a smile. As expected, nothing cannot be solved by a bucket of instant noodles. If so, then 2 buckets. In the next 2 days, the farmhouse courtyard became a temporary arsenal. With Mu Tianming's addition, Chen Sheng and Mu Nan's equipment received a comprehensive upgrade. Chen Sheng's warrior vehicle was fitted with a layer of reactive armor. The machine gun turret on the roof was also modified into a twin-mounted high-energy pulse cannon. Mu Nan's mechanical arm was even more magically modified into a multifunctional tool hand, integrating cutting, welding, hacking, and other functions. As for Mu Tianming, he was frantically manufacturing various traps and defensive facilities. He wanted to turn this place into a steel fortress before Huang army arrived. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was the 5th day that Chen Sheng came to this world. Around noon, the sun hung high, roasting the wasteland into distorted shapes. Chen Sheng stood in the courtyard, glanced at his watch. 11:58 and 0 seconds. This time, that familiar feeling of being locked in space finally arrives. The air begins to tremble slightly. The surrounding light begins to become somewhat illusory. I'm leaving. Chen Sheng turned around and said to Mu Nan and Mu Tianming, this time, I'm really leaving. In Mu Nan's eyes, a trace of reluctance flashed, but he quickly concealed it. Go. Hurry up and leave, lest you waste food here. Although he said so, he still stuffed a hard drive into Chen Sheng's hand. This is the blueprint for Pujuan, and some weapon data that Tianming has compiled these days. I hope it can help you. Mu Tianming had a reluctant look on his face, even wanting to cry. Bro, when are you coming next time? Be sure to bring instant noodles and cola, and ham sausages. Don't worry, plenty. Chen Sheng smiled and ruffled his messy hair. Next time I come, I'll bring you a real Manchu Han imperial feast. The cyan light gate slowly opened behind Chen Sheng. The familiar energy fluctuations rushed towards him. Chen Sheng took a deep breath, jumped into the Mengsher vehicle, Bao Zhong. He gave the 2 of them a military salute, and then with a stomp on the accelerator, the Mengsher vehicle rushed into the light gate. The light flashed, and the person and the vehicle instantly disappeared into the air. The light gate slowly closed. Mu Tianming chewed on the last plastic fork, still savoring the braised beef noodle soup remaining at the corner of his mouth. Although he had promised that cheap brother-in-law not to investigate, as a genius with superintelligence, curiosity is more unbearable than a cat scratching. Humph, you say go and you go? I'll see where you can go. Mu Tianming pushed up the heavy goggles on his nose, his fingers rapidly tapping on the holographic keyboard. Over-eye system activate. Nanite swarm, high-altitude lock, enable optical camouflage. Thousands of meters in the sky. A mechanical insect the size of a fly, completely black, was motionless in the air current. This was Mu Tianming's masterpiece, and also his proud god's perspective. His over-eye lens was fixedly locked on. The speeding Mengsher military truck below. Data streams on the screen cascaded down like a waterfall. Speed 120, engine overheating, all normal. Mu Tianming suddenly stopped chewing on the fork and jumped up from the chair. His face was almost pressed against the screen, only to see the front of the warrior vehicle in the center of the screen. The space was actually like a piece of glass melted by high temperature and began to twist violently. The spatial distortion increased, gravitational waves went crazy, approaching the index. This is impossible. Mu Tianming's voice became sharp due to extreme shock under his annotation. A ghostly blue light gate tore through the atmosphere out of thin air. That was not optical projection. That was a real physical phenomenon, impulsive. The pupils in the boy's eyes contracted violently. His breathing was rapid, as if he had just run 1,000 meters, and then, The warrior vehicle rushed into the light gate without slowing down, and the light flashed. The space closed, the wilderness was empty, as if nothing had happened. Disappeared, completely disappeared, leaving no residual heat. There were no traces of matter annihilation. Mu Tianming slumped in his chair, his mind blank. He didn't come from another gathering place. Is he an alien? Or a person from the future? Just as this genius boy was immersed in the shock of unknown technology. Chapter 33. Desperate game, Chongqing ticket. That heavily modified warrior vehicle, just a second ago, was still roaring on the ground. The roar of the engine still echoed in his ears. The burnt smell of tires rubbing against the gravel had not yet dissipated, yet the car was gone. Right on Mu Tianming's retina, the steel behemoth rushed towards the void, and then like a drop of water, it merged into the sea, completely disappearing without a trace. No explosion. No wreckage. Not even the flow of air was disturbed. The expression on Mu Tianming's face froze. He still had the plastic fork used for eating instant noodles in his mouth. But at this moment, it fell with a clatter on the dusty console. This is unscientific. The boy's voice was trembling. That was the expression when his worldview collapsed. He pounced on the holographic screen. His fingers tapped a blur on the keyboard, frantically retrieving all the data from that moment just now. The data stream brushed down like a waterfall. The thermal imaging showed the vehicle's heat source. Zeroed out within 0.01 seconds, the gravitational wave detector showed that coordinate point. A tiny yet extremely profound gravity key appeared, causing space to fold. Or is it quantum teleportation? Mu Tianming clutched his messy hair, his eyes bloodshot. He suddenly turned around, his eyes behind the windproof goggles fixedly staring at his sister standing behind him. Mu Nan was leaning against the wall, holding the modified laser pistol in her hand. Her expression was too calm. The calmness made Mu Tianming feel a hint of unfamiliarity. Sis, did you already know? Mu Tianming's voice rose a few notches, carrying a hint of questioning. Mu Nan did not answer immediately. She lowered her eyes, looking at the ground in front of her toes, where a brown beetle was crawling. I don't know the specifics. After a long while, she slowly opened her mouth, her voice a little hoarse. But I'm not blind, nor am I stupid. She raised her head, her gaze sweeping over the ground, looking towards that empty wasteland. Ever since I first saw him, everything has been off. Mu Tianming was stunned for a moment. He had never seen his sister reveal such an expression, like a drowning person in despair, seeing a non-existent straw. How is it off? The young man pressed for an answer, eagerly wanting to get the answer from his sister. Mu Nan took a deep breath, as if wanting to exhale the turbid air that had been accumulated in her chest for a long time. Do you remember that day? I met him in a group of zombies. He was too clean. Mu Nan's eyes became dazed, as if lost in memories. That kind of cleanliness can't be washed away by just taking a bath. It's cleanliness from not having radiation dust permeating the skin, the cleanliness of living in a favorable environment for a long time. Mu Tianming nodded thoughtfully. As a scientific genius, he immediately understood his sister's meaning. In this wasteland world, even the nobles in the shelters carry a decaying smell, the smell of death. And those water, Mu Nan continued, her tone becoming more serious. That kind of pure water, without any impurities, without any hardness, even the largest Yuan settlement, cannot produce drinking water of that level. And that rice, every grain is plump and crystal clear, not a single one is mutated. Tianming, do you think there is anywhere in this world that can grow such crops? Mu Tianming was silent. His brain raced, eliminating one possibility after another, but no. There is no such sanctuary in this land destroyed by war and virus. Unless that sanctuary, Mu Tianming gave a wry smile. He holstered his pistol. Who could believe it? Time travel. This kind of plot only exists in science fiction novels. It's actually happening before our eyes. He walked to the console, looking at the segment on the screen, looping footage of the disappearance. But now this isn't a guess. This is a fact. Mu Tianming bit his lip. He suddenly reached out and paused the image on the screen. It was a frozen moment, a dark blue light tearing through space, forming a deep vortex. Sis, look at this. Mu Tianming pointed to the edge of the vortex. The spatial curvature here is negative, which means that this is not just teleportation. This might be a wormhole, a stable, controllable wormhole. Mu Tianming's pupils contracted sharply. Even if he didn't understand physics, he understood the significance of the words stable and controllable. You're saying he can come back? That's certainly been the case the last few times. There was a trace of tremor in Mu Tianming's voice. Theoretically, yes. Mu Tianming pushed up his glasses, his eyes gleaming with fanaticism. If he can come back, can we go too? As soon as these words came out, Mu Tianming's heart began to beat violently. Should we take a gamble? Mu Tianming turned around, staring intently at his sister. When he comes back next time, let's hold him hostage or beg him to take us away. Sis, I'm fed up with the synthetic paste here. I'm fed up with having to listen to the roaring outside every night to fall asleep. Mu Lan looked at her younger brother's young face, which was full of vicissitudes. Her heart twinged sharply. As his older sister, her only wish was for her brother to survive, if they could go to that world. But the next second, he would remember his own heart. He remembered twitching, as a sister. His only wish was for his younger brother to live, if he could go to that world. But the next second, Li Ji poured cold water on the fire in his heart. No, Mu Nan said decisively. Why? Mu Tianming was puzzled. Because we don't understand that world. Mu Nan's eyes became sharp, restoring the true colors of a wasteland warrior. What's on the other side of impulse? Is it heaven or another hell? That passage, can it let us through? If only he can get through. If we go in, we will be torn to pieces. A series of questions were like heavy hammer blows. Slamming into Mu Tianming's head, the boy opened his mouth, but couldn't make a sound. Yes, the unknown is the greatest fear. Moreover, our current situation is not safe. Mu Nan pointed to the top of his head. The wilderness army will find this place soon. We offended Kuei Lang's people and destroyed their car. They won't let it go. We must survive until Chen Sheng returns. The fanaticism in Mu Tianming's eyes gradually cooled, replaced by a deep calculation. You're right. We are not qualified to negotiate with him yet. We need to prove our worth. The boy sat back in front of the console, his hands flying. Since he wants technology, then I'll give him technology. I will miniaturize the high-energy particle accelerator. I will upgrade these nanodrones. When he comes back next time, I will let him discover. He can't live without me. Only when irreplaceable are we qualified to get that ticket. Chapter 34. All efforts are rewarded. At the same time, Earth, a top-secret military base in China. 300 meters underground, inside a huge transfer hall, alarm bells rang sharply and urgently. Red warning lights spun madly, filling the entire space. Dyed a bloody red, energy readings off the charts, the spatial threshold exceeds the limit. He's here. The target is about to escape from the gravitational pull. The operator's voice in the broadcast was somewhat distorted due to extreme tension. Everyone held their breath. Old Bai, leaning on his cane, stood behind the blast-proof glass. A pair of cloudy old eyes, at this moment, gleamed intensely. Colonel Chen Hao gripped the rifle in his hand, his palms full of sweat. Humph! A dull thud, as if space itself was wailing. On the transfer platform in the center of the hall, the ghostly blue light exploded instantly. Like a supernova, the air surged, blowing the surrounding instruments askew. When the light dissipated, that battle-scarred warrior military vehicle slammed heavily onto the specially made buffer floor. The vehicle body was still smoking, the armor covered in charred laser burns. The bulletproof glass was shattered into a spiderweb. Chen Sheng, Chen Hao roared. Rushing forward desperately, the medical team followed closely behind, stretchers, oxygen cylinders, first aid kits. Everything was ready. The car door was pushed open with difficulty. Chen Sheng rolled out of the driver's seat, coughing loudly. He took off his helmet, his face covered in black ash. Looking disheveled, but he smiled radiantly. I'm back. He looked at the familiar faces around him, at the instruments, though simple, filled with order. And that smell in the air, though with a hint of oil, was incredibly comforting. This is the taste of home. Quick, check his body. Old Bai walked over slowly. His voice choked. Why did you stay so long, child? A whole 5 days. We all thought the passage had collapsed. Chen Sheng waved his hand, indicating that he was fine. He struggled to stand up, carefully taking out a hard drive from his arms. Old Bai, quartermaster, I didn't let the country down. What I brought back is enough for our technology to leap 50 years. 3 days later, a military-industrial park in western China. This has been designated as an SSS-level military restricted zone. Chen Sheng stood in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling windows, watching the production line below that was running at full speed. It was a visual feast of industry. Countless precision mechanical arms were flying in the air, welding sparks flying. Like extinguished cigarette butts, one by one, silver-white metal shells on the assembly line. They are taking shape with smooth lines and biomimetic joint structures. And that iconic core emitting a faint blue light, this is the first-generation cloud robot. Behind him, Bai Lao was filled with pride based on that AI algorithm you brought back. We only took 3 days to complete the production line transformation. These robots, Bai Lao, not only that, I have already handed over the data of the Eternal Star to the Nuclear Weapons Research Institute. As long as that The galaxy-level communication device is built and then equipped with the Eternal Star. As an energy core, the fourth Scourge plan can be fully launched. Ambition gleamed in Chen Sheng's eyes. When the time comes, not only Huaxia's players, but global players will become our soldiers. They will descend into the wasteland through these robots to plunder resources for us, to rebuild civilization for us. Bai Lao nodded, the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes. On these robots, like our wrinkles, they seem to smooth out. This is a vital instrument of a great power. By the way, Chen Sheng. Bai Lao seemed to remember something, stopped, outside the door. There is a plan about disabled veterans that has already yielded results. Go take a look. The scene there is even more shocking than here. Military Region General Hospital, Special Rehabilitation Center. The atmosphere here used to be depressing. Most of the people living here are young people in their early 20s. They had encountered enemies on the border, rescued people from floods and fires, but now, they lost their arms, lost their legs, and even lost their eyes. They are heroes, but also eagles whose wings have been broken by fate. However, today this place is full of laughter.